Is Borderlands 4 setting its sights on being the next Destiny? Early Borderlands 4 gameplay reveals had a lot of similarities people were pointing out to Destiny. There's a double jump, there's a glide, there's this sparrow-like vehicle that you can basically pull out anywhere. The movement especially seemed to be very much taking inspiration from the movement in the game of Destiny. We now have new details that I think are really stacking up the similarities to just be purely coincidence between the two games. Now, something I've always said is that somebody out there is making the next great looter shooter. Not necessarily a game to quote-unquote kill Destiny or go after Destiny, but just another great game that does their own take or version on the looter shooter game. And the grandfather of looter shooters would certainly be the best candidate to take a crack at it. Now, everything that I've seen about Borderlands and heard about Borderlands 4, I really think this is shaping up to be the best Borderlands in the history of the franchise. But there's another thing that I've said when it comes to gaming companies, developers, publishers that want to venture into ongoing models or like a live service game. That's sort of the dreaded word right now. The best approach would be to avoid a player funnel dependent model, because this leans on things like FOMO and engagement patterns. You sort of structure the content around, well, we need people to engage and keep engaging. That was one of the primary criticisms in one of the videos I recently watched about Destiny 2 in its current state, is they've just ripped the mask off and it's just a treadmill, and it's structured to be so ridiculously grindy because it's centered around engagement rather than enjoyment. So if you're not going to lean into a player funnel dependent model, you would then lean into a content focused model. And I think this is something that Borderlands could do an excellent job with, because that's been sort of their format in the past. They deliver new content sort of rhythmically, almost episodically, but the game is not player funnel dependent. They are streamlining matchmaking and community features, so it's easier to find other people to play with. But Borderlands is never going to be a game where, like, if not enough people are playing, you can't enjoy yourself. Like, Destiny essentially relies upon a thriving player base. You've got a lot of activities that are match made. It's described as a living world. That's not something Borderlands would need to do. But I do want to take a look at this really long list of things that is starting to stack up. I think you'll be compelled, and I know people are going to be like, why is it going to be the next Destiny? We don't need another Destiny. We don't need a Destiny killer. What I'm arguing is this is going to be another game that has that structure that can be ongoing and played for years to come, rather than just sort of being a typical game that we all play for co-op for a few months and then put down. Maybe you come back for DLC, maybe not. I think forever games that just are designed to go on for forever, I think they're becoming less and less prominent. I think it's harder for them to get their traction. I think gaming habits are becoming less conducive to a game that's like a part-time job, which is not what I want to see for Borderlands, because I know people are going to rush to the comments, they're going to see the thumbnail, and they're not even going to listen. They're just going to say, no, we don't want this for Borderlands. That is not what I'm arguing for. I'm arguing for more of a rhythmic, ongoing game that is able to add new content, new experiences for you to enjoy. And I really do think the similarities between these two games is stacking up too high for me to ignore. Now, I'll do that later in the stream. I usually put a timestamp below. It's usually about an hour or so into the broadcast where I sort of give you my more structured thoughts on a given topic. Now, if you're watching this later, it's still very helpful for you to hit the like button and leave a comment, because this is a live show that maybe you missed out on and maybe you watch it later on. Now, if my content being as long form as it is, I end up spending quite a bit of time in the chair live streaming every day for you guys. If I help you get through that work day and that work week, consider supporting the channel directly. We are a fan-funded channel, and most of that comes from gifted memberships. We would really like to see that sort of ratio switch and more folks grabbing that $6 Member Plus tier. It gets you into my Discord, behind-the-scenes content, and I now can do sub-only content on the Purple platform. So no more getting into that content for free. So if you want to see that content, click join, pick the $6. Even if you don't care about the extra content and you just want to support the channel directly, because again, if I'm getting you through that work day and that work week, a lot of people put this on throughout the week. That's a great way to support what I do. So good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, everybody. Hopefully you guys are having a great Friday already. We're already off to a great start. And we've got a check mark now on YouTube, which is really, really cool. It turned on. I now have the feature. We can't turn it on in the middle of a stream. I thought I could do that. I'll have to actually end the stream every day and start a new one, green room sub only. I will be able to do that now on Purple. So, but I got some people to thank. Joker Quinn, Han shot first, and so did you. Gets us to 333. But that 333 is going to become a 335 because a 336 actually. I've got Siege Master with 44 months. I've got Biggie Smalls with 27 months. And I got WGC 83. Thank you guys so much for doing Member Plus memberships. That is such a huge help to what we do. You might think $6 a month, geez, that's not that big of a deal. It is a huge deal, so don't ever feel like that's not support. It is a massive amount of support, in addition to all the gifted members that so many people do. Gang says, good morning, Lono and chat. I've never been the biggest Borderlands fan, but I appreciate how they treat their game and the story. I like how they don't just drag the game on. Creating a new game has really worked out for them. Something I kind of wish Bungie would have taken notes from in regards to Destiny. I will definitely be jumping into Borderlands 4. When I go through my sort of official talk later on this, and I stack up all of the things that we just got from like a tweet thread from Jor Raptor, like all the things that sound like Destiny, I'm like, I don't think this is an accident. I think they set their sights on what is that game over there doing that we could incorporate into Borderlands 4. And another renewal here for a Member Plus comes from Hating23. Thank you so much for doing that. I greatly appreciate it. There was Black Ops 4, so I mistyped. What are you guys talking about? B4, oops, what are you saying? I have zero interest in playing Borderlands 4 with anyone else. Single player's priority. Oh, you don't want to play with others. And a 5-bomb comes in from Glenn Schofield. It is Friday, boys, and you guys got a bit of a ways to go if you're going to hit that weekly goal to unlock the Friday night stream. You guys are going to have a really big Friday. You'll need some many hands make light work, or you're going to need a bunch of people to upgrade, or some of the big boys come in and start dropping those member bombs. New month, check your primes. Yeah, check those Prime subs, especially if you guys are watching on YouTube, but you still pay for that Amazon Prime. You can use that and support me over there on Purple. So thank you so much. Double dipping, my man Lone Wolf. Some of you guys really help add to the total by making sure that you're supporting on both places. And there it is, the first one on the board for Team Purple. Let's see a knockdown, drag-out fight between you guys today. Friday is curry and beer night. Well, there you go. It's because I said B-O instead of B. Huh? You said Mafia the Slop Country sucks too. That is an interesting game that has a lot of sharp disagreement on. I didn't dislike it. I just thought it was paced very poorly. You know, I probably should go back and finish it and see why it's so hotly debated. You're too far gone, Lono, in the chat. I'm too far gone, huh? Noberto, Double Dippers Unite, he says. He uses his Prime over there on Purple. Gets us to 44. Now it's 345. We are a 5-bomb away from the next milestone. Whoever hits it gets it. We are back to doing a gift at every 25. I appreciate you guys so much. We've returned to our roots. And Nick Pratt with 27 months in a VIP says, good stuff this week. Thank you very much. Make sure as you guys come in, you're hitting that like button on YouTube. That is very helpful. Let's get that first 100 likes going. We haven't even been live for 10 minutes yet, so go nuts on that. It does help us out. The end's a bit of a letdown. Yeah, I haven't gotten that far. I mean, I got 2 hours in, but I'm not at the end yet. I don't know if I'll go back. I probably have to out of pure curiosity, considering it is so debated. BL matters. Well, I have a poll on the channel. If you guys want to go take this poll, I did put one up about Borderlands 4, and I'm basically asking people. I mean, this is fresh. I mean, this just went live, so almost 200 people have already voted. And I said, listen, which Borderlands 4 character do you want to start with? And it seems like Rafa the Exo Soldier is kind of winning here. And you know what's funny? I think this is where I'm going to land too. This feels like more of the the meat and potatoes character, the Axton, the soldier, the whatever. My wife typically plays as the Siren, and I'm never big on the meatheads or the melee-based characters. I do want to see more of Harlow. I'm going to have to do a little bit of investigation into Harlow. So make sure you guys are taking the poll, and then you can leave a comment. I do have it set up to where you can come right back here. Yeah, look at that fancy check mark that we have now. We are a verified channel. I wonder if that'll help us on the platform, like if more people will find our content. Now, a lot of people, though, are leaving comments and saying things like, where's the option to not play? I don't know why people always insist on saying that. It's like, this poll isn't for you then, right? Like, it literally says, which Borderlands 4 character will you start with? And you're like, where's the option to say none? I'm not playing. Where's the option to say you're dumb, you shouldn't be taking the poll? Like, it's it's like the poll's not for you then. It's for people that are going to play Borderlands. You know what I'm saying? Nobody wants to hear your disgruntled murmurings about why you're not going to play Borderlands 4, If I was like, which seat are you going to try to buy in the movie theater or the play? I'm not going to see it. Where's the option for that? I didn't put one because I don't care. I want to talk to the people that are going to play the game. I'm curious what character they are going to select. And here, let me pause the pesky thing that we don't like. We need 24 more likes on YouTube quickly as you come in, go through that ritual of smashing that like button. I picked Vex. I always play as a Siren, says Lone Wolf. You should just add that. You're dumb. You shouldn't be taking the poll. Well, you can actually only do 4 options on those image polls. So it's like, I don't have a spot for you. I'm so sorry that I don't have a spot for you to whine or complain or express your negativity about Borderlands 4. Like, if you're not going to play it, great. Like, that's fine. There's plenty of games. I don't go take polls on, driving games. They're like, which car are you going to start with? And I'm like, where's the option to say I'm not going to buy this driving game, this car game? And the hype train has started on Purple. We'll see if Purple decides to rally. A 5 bomb would secure the next milestone right now, and it's dangling there. What are the abilities of each character? Do we know? I think they've got it broken down in a variety of places. I'm not going to really pull all that up right now. I mean, to break it down, the soldier has, I think, summonable, tech that he can use, primarily probably focused on guns. Vex is the Siren. Eamon is, sort of like melee meathead. And then there's Harlow, the Gravatar. And Wire Rope is going to do it. He's going to steal it for Team Purple. There it is. Joker Quinn, you were a little too slow on the 5 bomb. We got a 5 bomb from both platforms, and the fight is underway. It's now 15-7, but that does set up another potential steal. We're now a 20 bomb away from the next milestone of 375. We'll see if any of the big boys are out there today that feel like dropping that 20 bomb. Now's the time to do it. This is one of the easiest steals of the day. So thank you so much, Wire Rope, for gifting. There it is. I've paid up my single gifted to Purple over here. Happy Friday, Lono. Opening this bad boy tonight. Some of the smoothest moonshine from Kentucky I've ever had. Highly recommend. See, I don't think I've ever purchased moonshine. I've never had any hooch. I mean, I just get the bourbon. I've never actually tried that. So Joker Quinn says, damn, Wire? Yeah, Wire beat you. Sorry about that. I beat Echoes of the End last night in the end. It's a generic God of War Ragnarok clone, decent voice acting with a Final Fantasy 16 derivative plot, and wonky combat. Yeah, it just doesn't feel very good. It's just a real clumsy game. Derek says, I'm trying to think of a way to pitch Borderlands to me after I hated TT. And like Destiny, might be the worst possible way to go. I may have missed this one earlier. Reforge gifted. Wired Rope gifted 5. Oh, I did miss that. Frayed Voyager. I'm so sorry. I think he did that before I was live, maybe? Oh, no, he might have done it as soon as I went live. Frayed Voyager did gift a single over here. I missed that. And Biggie Smalls renewed their prime over here on Purple. Thank you for drawing that to my attention, Lone Wolf. I think he did that, and I had not yet got on the mic. And so it slipped past me. We're now at 357 and a VIP 358, a VIP renewal over here on YouTube. Thank you so much, Hotshot with 28 months. I appreciate it so much. Welcome back in. Yo, good morning, Rose Girl. I'm worried that it won't hold up to 3. The story was bad in 3, but the gameplay, quality of life, and end was great, and so many cosmetics you could earn. Okay, so if I were to try to pitch Borderlands to you, Derek, I think the difficulty is I don't know if you like shooters enough to enjoy it. Like, do you even like first-person shooters enough to spend a good amount of time in one? Because a Borderlands game is not going to be a quick affair. You're not going to like play the game and like 8 hours later be like, that was fun, I'm done. Like, they're usually a decent length game. Did you see the Crimson Desert new gameplay IGN posted 25 minutes ago? No, I did not. We could always check that out later, maybe in the green room, and I'll kind of react to it. Maybe that'll be a great way to convince folks to do green room, because now you won't be able to watch for free on Purple. I can now set up members only content over there. We unlocked the ability. I was getting ready to open a ticket with them. I was like, why don't I have this yet? I think I should play Doom 2016 and stay there for a minute. Doom 2016 is one of the best first-person shooters you can play. It and Eternal are very, very good. If that's the kind of stuff that you like, then I don't know if Borderlands is adjacent enough for you to then have it away. Bounty Board, I can see it, Wired Rope. I can see Bounty Board. I've been able to see it since I got back to the platform, but I never get any bounties. So they escalated that. They're trying to look into why that's happening. I think it's because I was a partner who was banned, who was reinstated as an affiliate, and they haven't not properly onboarded the channel is my assumption. Kind of older school. Yeah, like Doom 2016 does harken back to more of an old school boomer shooter where you're doing like lots of strafing and circle fighting, and 2016 to Doom Eternal ends up with a lot more verticality and flying around. Hey guys, we need 100 likes. Like, we're 15 minutes in. Go through that ritual. I don't know why YouTube is doing this. It is such a struggle lately. Let me make sure it's not doing that weird thing. They changed they changed the cosmetics of the back end of the platform and the front end as well, and we kept getting glitches yesterday. Like, I kept having the layout of the back would look different, and it was happening to Creature as well. So make sure it is saving your like count. YouTube's been very wonky lately. But yeah, 2016 to Eternal gave you a lot more verticality and like movement and flying around that is absent in Doom the Dark Ages. So I've told a lot of people now, like, hey, you should consider playing Doom the Dark Ages first if you haven't played 2016 or Eternal, because that'll feel like a natural progression of movement and abilities. So, the Heretic Hexen release is phenomenal at $15, especially if you enjoy the OG Doom-style FPS. They added the ability to aim up and down. Huge quality life updates. Yeah, I mean, if I was trying to sell you on Borderlands 4 gameplay, I don't think I could do it. You have to like the game's base level genre first. If you don't like these style of games, I'm never going to convince you that, like, oh yeah, Borderlands is the game for you. Because even if you like shooters, if you like games like for first-person shooters, I would say that you may still not even like a looter shooter. Do you know what I'm saying? You might not even like a looter shooter, because the way that some people enjoy first-person shooters is like they want modern weapons, they want like, a base set of weapons that they kind of pick through and go through, and the randomization of like weapons and perks and parts. You might look at Borderlands and be like, I have no interest in that, and you could be a huge fan of shooters themselves. So it's a tough sell. Like, you've got to be into the genre to begin with before it would even potentially like pull you in. The newest ones seem extra gory up close, and the stuff I hear about Doom 16 sounds more my speed. Yeah, I don't think Dark Ages was gory. It was more arcadish and cartoonish, if anything. At least that's how I felt. I don't know. I want to tinker with my weapons like I can in Fallout 4. I have found no other game with that yet. Yeah, there aren't a lot of games that will let you do crafting with your guns, because crafting can be a bit it can be a bit of a problem. If you were able to craft in Borderlands, it could be a bit of a problem, because what would end up happening is you would just find all the best parts and make basically like a god to your weapon. I think randomization on weapons and going for a really good roll, a really good version. Sorry, late for your birthday. What is this? Call of Duty Black Ops 7 is set to release on November the 14th. Yep, a little late for my birthday. That's okay though. That's okay. We will obviously be checking that one out. But my birthday's landed on a weird one. Yeah, my birthday's landed on a Sunday this year, so it'd be odd for a game to land on my birthday. What I want definitely works in a different style game. For sure, like a game like that, like Fallout 4, it makes perfectly good sense that you're kind of like piecing guns together. What's good, Dan? Wow, that sneeze came out of nowhere. Sorry. Yeah, it works in a game like Fallout. In a game like Borderlands, I don't think it would work all that well, because you would basically be dealing with... You would essentially be dealing with something that works against the identity of the game. I've always thought crafting in a looter is extremely dangerous, because you can completely ruin anybody's motivation to go chase weapons. So... That's a steak stream on your birthday? No. I won't do any IRL streams for a really long time. We've got to hit some pretty big, like, member plus goals for me to do that. It's a lot to ask to do like an IRL stream on the weekend. My schedule's so full now. Like Saturdays and Sundays that's tough. We were doing those IRL streams to celebrate milestones. That is seemingly now something that just doesn't happen. So we're just gonna have to wait and just let the culture naturally turn that rudder. I'm not beating on that drum every day of the week anymore. That we did that for a while. I think for like 3 months. We were like, hey, we have a member plus goal. We have a member plus. YouTube's just like, we don't care. So that stuff's just going to have to happen naturally on its own. So if that rudder starts to turn, that's great. We'll celebrate. But I'm not doing that anymore. It was a big distraction. People get the weapons they want rather than RNG BS that extends playtime trying to get what you want rather than being able to play the game. Yes, that sounds terrible. No, what sounds terrible is completely reducing a looter shooter down to an intentionally negative perception that doesn't actually summarize the experience, while also projecting a false incentive or actually intention in the game's design. Like, you're not actually describing how these games work. You're making up like a phantom. That's not how looter shooters work. Like, Borderlands is not extending its playtime through what you call RNG BS. The random rolls create diversity within the weapons, which creates excitement within getting a good version. It's essentially a game of chasing something that you really, really want. Like, mechanically going in and just like putting all the parts together to make the best weapon is just a purely mechanical exercise. I'm telling you, crafting is 100% a danger to player incentivization. You've got to be very, very careful with it. You got to be very careful with crafting. Crafting can literally ruin a game. It can, because it turns it into a purely mechanical exercise. I got to kill 100 robots, I got to kill 100 dinosaurs, and I got to kill 100 aliens. And once I do that, I'll have enough little dollary-doos and gadgets and thingamajigs, and I'll be able to make the best gun. That to me is just like, you could play any game that has a very linear structure of power where you just get more, you get stronger the more you play. There are plenty of games like that. At the end, you get what you want rather than hoping and never getting what you want. Right, but again, I just think you're oversimplifying it. Like, I could give you what you want from every boss that you kill, and that would be incredibly not exciting. You'd be like, oh, I really, really want a god roll. You know, I really, really want the best version of this weapon. And it's like, wish granted. You know, if I was a genie and I was like, wish granted, every boss you kill is going to drop the best version of a weapon. Well, that would be really boring. Like, there would never be any sense of elation because there's no opportunity to get something bad. Like, there's no spectrum of experience there. It's just, yeah, you get the best thing every time. The entire point of these systems is it creates a sense of mystery and pursuit, and then when you get the really good thing, it's really, really exciting. Now, there are thresholds of being withholding that damages these games. If something takes way too long to drop, right, it can absolutely harm the experience. But we're not arguing with extremes here. There's obviously not going to be, I don't think, situations in a game like this where, like, I can't get the gun that I want and I've been playing, for months or whatever. And Zubair's making a good point. We had static rolls in Destiny 2 when Vanilla Destiny 2 launched, and it was terrible. Everybody hated it. Player incentivization to grind went down. It was like, yep, here's the weapon. That is absolutely not the types of games that these are. The fact of the matter is, if you want a game like that, go play a game like that. There are plenty of games where, as you play, you just get better stuff. You're not like, oh man, I gotta get, I'm gonna go play this game over here and insist that it do what I want to do. Like, if you play a game like that, you're like, wow, I'm level 10 now. Now I have a level 10 gun, and now I have a level this gun, and blah blah blah. Like, if you just want pure linear trajectory of experience, there's an ocean of games like that where you don't ever have to worry about the role or the version of the gun. Coming at a game that its identity, what's part and parcel to the meat and potatoes experience, is quite literally the chance of getting something good, and that's part of the excitement. And you're like, well, no, just do crafting because I don't want to get stuck never getting the thing that I want. I want to be able to make the thing that I want. Well, you're playing the wrong game then. Does that make sense? It would be like playing a game where... It would be like playing a game like Dark Souls and being like, well, I never want to lose my souls. I always want to have them. I always want to be leveling. I never want to have any skin in the game. I don't play other games where I lose my XP. I shouldn't lose my XP in here. That's part and parcel to the experience. Part of these games, whether you're playing First Berserker, Kazan, or Dark Souls 3, part and parcel to those games is the latent risk of you could lose your XP, and you've got to try to go get it back. Now, a lot of games are softening that. Like, you go back to the door of the boss fight and all your souls are there. You don't have to, like, awkwardly fight to that terrible corner that you died in to get your souls back. But, like, that's part of the game. If I play Borderlands 4, I won't be grinding weapons. I would say you won't have to as well. I think that's the other thing that needs to be said about Borderlands 4 gameplay. You're not going to have to grind if you don't want to. Now, if you want to play a boss over and over and over again to try to get a really good version of a legendary, that's there for the people that enjoy it. Acting like, well, that's bad and they shouldn't do that and just give me crafting, you're basically trying to take something away from somebody else by arguing for that, right? You're like, well, because there are people that love that. They love the idea of grinding a boss for 4 days in a row and finally getting that piece of gear that they were looking for. That's something that they enjoy. I can acknowledge that playing Destiny for as long as I have has left a bad taste in my mouth to this kind of thing. I think there's a tension point, Clone War. Thank you, Mike on a mic with a gifted memory. Bumps the line to 359. You guys are going to have to band together today if you're going to unlock the Friday night stream. You're going to give Madam and I our first night off in a while on Friday, and she will not complain about that. But if you guys want, we're going to have to get that 500 before the end of the day. There's a tension point, though. I do think if a game is too stingy, it can actually harm the experience, right? 48 months from Cardoc Ren, thank you so much. It depends on what they're being stingy with. Hang on, I don't know where I am in the thing. It depends on what they're being stingy with. If you're being stingy with a legendary, that's totally fine. It's a legendary after all. If you're being stingy with a... Oh, I should clarify. Legendaries in Borderlands are basically like exotics. So if you're being stingy with like an exotic, like all the way at the upper level, I think that makes sense. Okay. That's that thing's classification. It's going to show up really rare. And they talked about this. They said, in the last game, they were dropping so often that they just became another color in the rainbow. It's like, well, this is just another thing that drops, like, fairly regularly. It made them less special. Now, there's different philosophies here. Diablo took on the philosophy in Loot 2.0, and this is in Diablo 3, where they said, generosity actually increased engagement. So people were no longer saying, well, I'm just trying to get this axe to drop. They started saying, I'm trying to get a good version of the axe to drop. The generosity actually made them say, well, I'm going to keep coming back because eventually I'm going to get a good version. Now, a more casual player would be excited just to have the axe. They're like, well, I got it. It's awesome. And I'm okay with that. So I do think there's different philosophies where, like, well, exotic should be exotic or legendary should be legendary. They should not be dropping all that often. My only thought on that is, if you're going to really, really limit the drop rate of something, then I think the gun should be the gun. Does that make sense? If you're going to have some crazy high tier level of weapon that can drop from this boss, and its drop rate's really low, well, then that should be it. Like an exotic in Destiny 2, the gun is the gun. If it drops, and I've been playing for days, and then it's a bad version of the exotic, or in this case, they call them legendaries in Borderlands, then I have a problem, because it's like, okay, it's one thing to be withholding. It's another thing to be withholding, and then on top of that, you've got this veiled stinginess where it's like, well, yeah, you finally got the item, but it could be a piece of crap. This is why I've always said, if you're going to do random rolls on an item, that should be protection against being too generous. If you're just dropping it every time you kill the boss, but there's random rolls, well, then what the person's doing is they are playing to the degree that they're willing. They might just be very casual, and they're just happy to have it. They're like, oh, this boss drops this really cool exotic gun, and I'm glad to have it. A more middle-of-the-lane player might say, I'm going to do that a couple more times. I bet I can get a better version. And then the hardcore player is going to say, I'm going to play this until my eyes bleed. I have the god roll in mind. I have the roll in mind that I want. This creates what I call spectrum. There's like a spectrum of engagement where all players are appropriately rewarded for their time. Like the casuals not feeling that pressure to like grind their face off. They got the weapon, they're happy. Mid lane players are going to put a little bit more time in, and then the hardcore players are obviously going to put the most. This is why really, really rare drops should be static. It should be a static roll. Because if it takes that long for it to drop, I shouldn't be in risk of it being like a crappy version. Does that make sense? That's my personal belief. What's good, Feed? I see you in the chat. Guys, Feed is in the chat on YouTube. And it's a Friday. Let's take care of this, okay? If he pokes his head over here on Twitch, I can gift to him, but I can't do it over here. Clone says, I'm fine with rare loot. Exotics can be different to me. I don't know that I like craftable exotics even in D2. The bigger problem is weapons with massive perk pools and only a couple of good combos. Right, and that's where your generosity is going to come into play. Your generosity is going to come into play there. If there is only a handful of good combos within a perk pool, I think you better be very generous. And generally speaking, that's going to be how it goes. There's always going to be perks on a weapon or perks on a gun that are not as good as others. There's always going to be combinations that are like, well, that's crap. And then there's going to be combinations where you're like, oh, well, that's the one I want. You know, that's the god roll. That's the best roll. And I think in these games, crafting disrupts everything that we're talking about. Eugene says, I'm just over loot games in general. Loot chase is not content. If the content is good enough to replay it, I'll replay it. I don't need a digital incentive. I think for some people, the chase is part of the experience, though. You know? It's almost like, for some people, part of the joy of like a Souls game is playing it and self-inflicting greater challenge. Like for some people, that's part of the joy, is making it harder. And for others, like, no way. For some people in a looter-based game, they'll just play through it linear and they're just happy to get the stuff. And for other people, no, they're going to go the distance. They're going to get the best stuff. I know it's almost, hang on, Gang says, got to be careful with generosity. BF3 was too generous and it completely killed the grind for me. That's why I didn't stick with it. It got boring. I think, are you meaning to say Borderlands 3? I don't know what BF3 is. I think you meant BL3. Having some kind of goal helps keep me engaged, says Jack Garland. I know it's almost not even related, but if anybody ever wanted to play Parasite Eve on PlayStation 1, upgrading your weapons is the same, and that game is perfect. I wish one of these looter shooters would implement that system. 4 weeks away, can't wait. I love the loot grind, and Borderlands is always full of content. Well, we're going to talk, I'm going to outline here in about a half an hour why I think Borderlands 4 gameplay is sounding an awful lot like Destiny. Like, the similarities continue to stack up. I've got a list of like 10 things. 8 of those 10 things sound like Destiny. Now, we're going to talk about how I don't think their ongoing format will mimic Destiny, but we will get to that shortly. Make sure you guys are smashing the like button. Make sure you have taken the poll as well on the channel. Which Borderlands 4 character will you start with? It just jumped to like 225 votes, so thank you everybody who did that. He got Battlefield on the brain. I know, I was like Battlefield 3. I think I knew what you meant. I was like, I think he means Borderlands 3. Borderlands 4 just seems like they are dealing with it with a completely different passion than they do with Borderlands 3, even if the individual character shorts are so good. I don't know what you mean, like a completely different passion. Can you expand on what you mean? Po Buddies Nerfic bumps the member line with a VIP. 34 months of membership, says, I like having some rarity so that there is an item chase, but too stingy and I just get annoyed and move on. Borderlands 3 was too generous, but I hope the pendulum doesn't swing in the other way. This is what I'll say to that, because I think that's a valid concern. I will say that I think they have protected themselves, and they've already kind of told us how they're going to do it. I think they're going to have their highest level gear have low drop rates, and then the license part system that they outline, how like random guns can be, that's going to protect them, because they're going to be able to be just super generous with purples. You'll be swimming in purples. You're never going to be like, oh, I can't get any good guns. And a renewal from Jack Garland, 37 months in a VIP. Yeah, forgot about this one. Yeah, guys, if you check your primes, if you're paying for Amazon Prime, and if you check that $ button at the bottom of the chat over here on YouTube, you might have a renewal. Yeah, somebody told me about the new footage of Crimson Desert. Thank you. Is the driving the same in Borderlands 4? No, you have like a summonable sparrow basically anywhere you want in Borderlands 4. I find D2 too cartoon, as per the D2 discussion the other day. Borderlands just doubles down on that. Yeah, I mean, Borderlands definitely looks like almost like graphic novel, kind of comic bookish. I do think this one looks like a return to form, and it feels a lot more gritty. Borderlands 3 didn't feel very gritty and dirty and old. It felt kind of cheesy, right? Rogue Necro with 43 months of memberships and a VIP. Love the grind. Been playing the new season of First Ascendant just to scratch my looter shooter itch until Borderlands 4 comes out. Thank you so much. And that gets us to 363. Thank you guys so much. Slowly working towards that weekly goal to unlock Friday night. Appreciate you guys. I've never played a Borderlands, says Kaiser. Game came before something about this. Oh, I'm sorry. I've never played a Borderlands game before, but something about this one made me jump in pre-order. I'm also a Destiny refugee. I think there's a lot of Destiny refugees that probably feel that way, Kaiser. I think in general, if you're, and this is where I think the mistake that people might make is they might see like, my stream today, and they would think, well, I don't want to play a game that's just going to try to be another Destiny, or we don't need another game that tries to be a Destiny killer, right? There's a lot of people who don't want that. They don't want to see a game do that. That's not what I'm arguing in this video, right? I can only work within the confines of so many words and fonts on a thumbnail. But for me, this feels like a new Destiny. Like, this is a new opportunity for a game to step out and say, hey, we've got a looter shooter. There's tons to do. And we're going to be adding to the game ongoing. I don't think they'll be adding to the game ongoing in the same way. But I do think that they could have something very, very good here that would last a long time if they do it right. Sorry you're not feeling well, Lady Gamer. Good to see you. Borderlands 3 wanted to reinvent the concept with a different approach to narration by trying something new. But with this one, they seem to really be listening to the fans and going back to their roots. I think they're doing two things that are going to serve the game. Number one, they're listening to the fans, but they're not listening to the fans to their peril. I think some companies can listen to their fans and they listen to their peril. They add a bunch of like streamer stuff that streamers want. So I think they're listening to the fans. The other thing I think they did is I think they looked at Destiny and they said, well, what can we learn from that game? What can we learn from a looter shooter that lasted 11 years? And, you know, for all intents and purposes, it's still around. They have sort of reinvigorated the player bases once again with some good changes. You know, the classic clean up the spilled milk and the community throws you a parade. I mean, that's a long-standing relationship that they have with the Destiny community. That seemingly has happened. So that even then that game is still going strong. So I feel like Borderlands definitely grabbed from both pools. Like, we're going to grab from player feedback, but we're also going to take some stuff from a game that works and has been around for a really long time. All I want for my birthday is to run that like count up. So smash the button. Dwayne, is it your birthday? Guys, Dwayne would like 200 likes for his birthday. So please grant him his wish. If you guys are watching on YouTube, you haven't hit the like count yet, that little thumbs up is a huge, huge help. So is gifting memberships or renewing your memberships or upgrading. Use that upgrade command in chat, ! Upgrade, and you guys can get up on Member Plus. That's the big thing we're working on right now. We have about 515 people at Member Plus and above, and we've kind of stayed at around 500 for years now. So if you've been enjoying this content for a very, very long time, if I help get you through your work day or your work week, that is a great way to support this and keep this thing going. This is a fan-funded channel, and so you guys have been just insanely supportive over the years. There you go, Broken Earth. You found the handle change. Yes. Yes, it's in the settings. Like a profile settings page, I think. Someone took regular Broken Earth. Boo. Yeah. Have you heard about Sony selling the rights of K-pop Demon Hunters to Netflix for $20 million, and it's becoming a $1 billion franchise, apparently? I think someone might lose their job. I've not heard anything about that. I mean, that would likely be within, like, Sony Entertainment. Like, that's not something I would cover, like TV shows and anime. 39 months and going strong. Same age as my little, about the same age as my little boy, though. Time flies. Oh, man. It goes quick. Adam King says, it's my birthday tomorrow, and for my birthday, I would like Lono and Zubair to kiss. Well, that's not going to happen, so you'll have to settle for something else, like, I don't know, you know. Well, let's hit the goal and have a Friday night stream, right? You can come and hang out. Madam and I will stream tonight, and that'll have to be the best I can offer you. YouTube Studio customization. There's a handle section under there. Oh, that's where you do it. I haven't done it in such a long time. I mean, we had to pick a handle a while ago. It was like a year and a half. It's too long of a drive. Sorry. That's right. There is no upgrade command on purple. The upgrade command is for YouTube. I mean, I'll take whatever I can get. I remember whenever I first played Borderlands 1, just the opening section, I remember seeing a trailer for it and thinking, just the numbers. So this is really going back, because this is like a standard thing now. But just the numbers popping off of the enemies got me excited. I was like, I want to play that game. You know? I really do. I want to play that game. Like, I loved shooters, and seeing a shooter where you're like shooting and doing damage and the numbers are popping off. Yeah, the tip command is a great command to use. If you guys prefer to support directly and not go through gifteds or other things, you can use the tip command. And then you can leave me a message there, and that does support what we do. Zubair says, I can offer some sarcastic commentary in chat free of charge. Yeah, that's what he can bring. Yeah, I've seen the stuff about that FCAT. Yeah, I don't think I'll cover it, but it definitely supports my decision to never let my daughter play that game. Anyway. But you can't kiss Madam on Steam. Yeah, we can't do that. We can't raise the rating of those Friday night streams. We'll definitely get in trouble if we do that. So, and thank you to all the people that are hitting subscribe right now. If you're enjoying this coverage, I plan to do a lot of Borderlands coverage. It's a game that's very near and dear to my heart. This is the game that I kind of started streaming with 10 years ago. And Adrian comes in with the 5 bomb and gets us to 368. Thank you so much for that support. Adrian says, come on, let's get this thing going. Let's get this show on the road. Let's unlock Friday night. And another one coming in from Bro Sexy. Takes the contest to 26-10. Purple's going to need to answer back sometime today. It's 369. Nice. Loot my renewal. Count it. 38 months. Thank you, Bro Sexy. You completed Lies of P yesterday? Nice. The instant I see numbers popping up, I'm not playing an older style RPG. I go looking into options to turn it off like immediately. See, I loved it. I remember thinking, because at the time, the only game I had really played that did that was Diablo. And I remember telling my friend that we should play the game. And he's like, why? And I'm like, dude, it's like Diablo with guns. I'm like, how could you not want to play this? And he had played quite a bit of Diablo. So when I said that, he was like, wait, what? He's like, okay, now you got my attention. So like the Diablo with gun things was kind of one of the big elements of Borderlands 1 was that there hadn't really been a game. I don't think there was a shooter like that before where you would shoot and see numbers pop. I mean, maybe, I don't know. The actual history of that, there could be somebody or some game out there, some shooter that I'm not giving proper credit to. But my experience as a fan of shooters was that was kind of the first time I had ever seen that. I'd ever really seen like oh wow, they're kind of combining, two things that I love, which is seeing those numbers pop up and then guns. Because at the time, I remember always playing shooters, and I remember always thinking, especially, this was another big aspect of Borderlands for me, I was always wanting co-op. I always wanted shooters that would offer the co-op, because I remember playing through World at War with my buddy. That was like one of the last Call of Duties that had like a co-op campaign, What if you could build a weapon where the weapon parts were part of the separate grind? I just don't like it. Like, if they put it in the game, I'm not going to, like, tell people that they shouldn't enjoy it or that they shouldn't use it. I would not like, if Borderlands 4 decided to put that kind of crafting in, I just don't like it. I don't like building, like, a super weapon, and all you got to do is go put enough grind in to get the pieces and the parts. I've never thought that was something that belongs in a looter shooter. That feels antithetical to the psychology of a looter shooter. Like, if you break down the psychology of a looter shooter, it's that loot drops, you check the loot, and if it's good, you're excited. Grinding for parts to build a really, really, like, basically like a super weapon, I just think that grates against that psychology. It's like, what am I grinding for now? Oh, I got to get this, I got to get this, the butt of the weapon, the side of the weapon, the barrel, the whatever. Like, I don't know. I don't think that's as exciting. I think that's a very, very different style of grind. I think there are games that do that and do it well, but I don't think it belongs in a looter. It's called a looter, not a crafter. Right, like it's in the name. It's in the name, like the identity of the game is based around you chasing stuff, and the stuff that drops, that's where the excitement lies. That's where the dopamine lies, is in that exchange. And the minute you turn it into, there were guns like that in Destiny. There was, what was it called, the breakneck, the one that would shoot faster the longer you shot it. Well, in order to get the breakneck, you just had to get like certain number of kills in Gambit or something stupid. And it was just such an annoying grind because there was no excitement. There was no elation about like maybe it'll drop, maybe I'll get a good one. It was, oh, how many more guys do I got to kill? Okay, all right. You're just kind of counting them up. Or it might have been rounds or matches or something. It might have been a combination of both. I don't remember complaining about the sleeper simulant, sir. It was basically a part grind. I don't mind if it's for a particular weapon, Fuzzy. He's talking about a crafting system, right? I don't think you're wrong. I think if you were grinding or you were on a mission, on a quest, on a thing, if you were doing that in order to get pieces and parts to build a bespoke weapon, that's different than like a crafting bench where you can like make a super weapon with enough time. Sorry, I brought up crafting. No, that's not a derail at all. No, this is not a derail. This is a common discussion in this genre, is that should looter shooters have crafting? I just made as an example of what I look for and why I need to think differently if I play Borderlands. Honestly, if you just played Borderlands, I would think that the best way for someone like you to play Borderlands is just take what you get. You get what you get, and you don't throw a fit. That's what my kids say to each other. Because my wife said it, I think it was in a book, and she loved it, and so she says that to them. You get what you get, and you don't throw a fit. That would be the best way to play Borderlands. Is you just get what you get, and you just equip what you think is the best in the moment, and don't do any like, oh, I'm going to go back and grind this boss, or I'm going to go back and grind this activity. You just get what you get and don't throw a fit and just use whatever the game gives you. You'll have a perfectly fine time. You're never going to play a Borderlands and be like, I really need to stop and grind for better weapons. My weapons suck. The weapons that they give you, combined with the abilities of your character and your skill tree, you're generally going to be able to be a proficient player. You're not going to be like, oh man, I really need to circle back. I can't do anything right now. Now, obviously, if you do things out of order and you're going into environments where you're under-leveled, that's going to have an effect on your experience. But I don't necessarily think that you're ever going to feel that pain of like, well, the game keeps giving me bad guns. You can get into a rut sometimes where like maybe you don't like shotguns and it keeps giving you shotguns or something and you really want an SMG. That can certainly happen. But I don't think you're ever going to play a game. Like, you're not going to jump into Borderlands 4 gameplay and say, oh man, I've been playing for an entire day and all my weapons are trash and I keep dying. That's not how the game is designed. You could just be excited about the chaos, the randomness, and the uniqueness of every weapon and never feel that draw or that pull to be like, well, I need to go grind for better gear. Yeah, it's not a difficult game. That's exactly right, Jamal. There will be difficult encounters in Borderlands 4. There will probably be raid bosses or challenges or different things that are difficult. And there will likely be, New Game Plus 2 activities and things where you could go back and play and make sure that you're at your absolute strongest and have your build maximized. Guys, very quickly on YouTube, thanks so much. We're super close to 200 likes. If you have not yet, hit that thumbs up button. Get us there. We only need 14 more. Check your renewals on all platforms as well. We're working on a big goal for the week. I should play Borderlands like I play Uncharted. Just go with what I think the best. Yeah, just go with what the best is that you get. Exactly. Yep. That, I think, would be the best way to play. That's where games like The First Descendant lost me. I got to farm for materials to craft a bunch of different things, to craft the actual thing that I want. Pick up a gun I like and wear it out. Repeat. Yep. And you will have no shortage of guns. That's one thing that Borderlands is going to do, is it's going to drown you. I mean, it's going to drown you in guns. If you guys have never been here before, you have to hit subscribe to talk in my chat, and that is free. And if you do that, you can engage, and it'll tell me that it's your first time talking, and I will try to answer your questions or your feedback. Revzilla says, I'm not a fan of the faction that it seems like there is not really any stagger. Oh, wait. Oh, the fact that it seems like there's no stagger from enemies. But you make a great point, and abilities will be more of a focus. In a little bit here, I'm going to break down all of the things that I think really sound similar to Destiny. And there's one thing in particular that you might like, Revzilla. There's one thing in particular that you might like, given what you just said. What's good, Harlem? How are you? They're just copying the crafting from ARPGs. They might add something like a rift system from Diablo. Yeah, I mean, a rift system, I'll pause them. Thank you, Valkyrja. A rift system could work really well in Borderlands because you could literally say, I mean, think about it. You could have somebody develop some kind of technology that transmats you into a random vault, right? Because it's a game based on vaults. What's good, Polarin? How are you? It's a game based on vaults, right? So you could certainly have something that does that, where every time you go in, it's a rift, right? It's a randomized environment with random enemies and guns and a boss at the end and a vault. Because there are conceivably, according to the ends of Borderlands 2, there are vaults everywhere, all throughout the universe, all throughout the galaxy. So, like, every single time they wanted to do some kind of a season or some kind of a new content thing, you could be like, hey, we've been scanning scanning a new galaxy, and there's a bunch of new vaults to go to. And you'd, like, hop through a little thing, and it would, like, transmat you into a vault. And you'd be in there, and you'd get all your stuff, and you'd get out, and then it'd be random because you'd never really go back to the same vault, maybe. Or the vaults could have different branches, and you always go into different branches that end with a boss fight and that end with a room full of loot. I'm telling you, Borderlands 4 could do an ongoing content model that could work very, very well, and it would not need to be any of the cliches, any of the things that frustrate people, right? Nobody likes a game that's designed around engagement. Destiny 2, Edge of Fate, was highly criticized for this. It was criticized for essentially being a game that is now almost entirely designed around engagement. Well, just set it up so that they have to keep playing. Just set it up so that they have to keep logging in. And when you do that, what you end up doing is you end up setting up a scenario where they're not playing because they enjoy it or they want to. It's like almost like a requirement. It's like drudgery. It's like a job. It's like a chore. And when someone's engaging with your game in that way, you've sort of stripped away the sort of enjoyment immersion factor. You've stripped that away. I think your game's on borrowed time once you do that. I do. Once your populace is engaging with the game primarily out of some sort of unspoken requirement, like the way the game has been set up, and that's what their primary driver is for playing, I think your game's on borrowed time, because they're not being driven by enjoyment, by love, by passion. It's a mechanical exercise. And all it's going to take is another game to take their attention or to provide them with a little bit of enjoyment and excitement or mystery, so, surprise and delight, right? That's all it's going to take, and they're going to walk away from your game. I'm so bored with Destiny now. There's absolutely nothing to do, and the new grind bores me senseless. Right, and I think a lot of people will get to that point. And I don't think Borderlands will have to do any of that. There is, to me, a potential future where we're playing Borderlands 3 years from now and still enjoying it, and they're still adding content, but it is not some battle pass, live service, engagement-focused game. It won't be that. And the reason it won't be that is, and thank you, Stonespire. I know what Stonespire's doing. He's setting up the 5-bomb dunker. We're now at 370. Whoever makes this hit 375, your platform gets a gifted member. So a 5-bomb right now to steal it. Twitch already stole the first one, YouTube. So if you want to answer back, now is the time. Let's see it. And you'll get us a little bit closer to that weekly goal. So to me, I definitely get why people would be hesitant. Like, no, don't make it a live service game. Like, don't make it a Destiny. Don't make Borderlands 4 like that. But I think they have the ability within the lore of the game, within the way the game has been set up, with the way the loot table works, with the way the world itself works, I think they could do it. And I've got a whole outline here I'm going to go through with you guys in a moment where the list of similarities is piling up. Like, Borderlands 4 sounds a lot like Destiny. I mean, there's a lot here. I've got a list of 10 things. Jor Raptor did a tweet, and I'm going to look at the tweet, and then I'm going to point out all the things that sound an awful lot like Destiny, and it's 8 out of the 10. That's a lot. And the game's not even out yet. I mean, there could be more things coming that are also similar. I'm interested in how the end game will mesh with the currently planned story, DLC, and new Vault Hunters. Yeah, we know they like to add new Vault Hunters. We know they like to do DLC. But we know they also like to set up new game structure, like end game structure, new game plus, true Vault Hunter mode, ultimate Vault Hunter mode, all of that. Those questions haven't really been answered just yet. They haven't. So I'm not really sure how they're going to structure all that. Yeah, we still don't know about end game activities. That's right. How are they going to structure that? What's good, Gwendolyn? No, Borderlands 4 does not let you create your own Vault Hunter. It was 40 games of Gambit. Is that what it was, Dan? Dan might be super delayed right now. Or maybe he went and looked it up. The end should be announced at Gamescom or PAX West. Yeah, they like to do things at PAX. Historically, a lot of the Borderlands stuff happens at PAX. So we could see something there. They're going to be at Gamescom, though, so they're definitely going to want to have something to show there. They didn't add any Vault Hunters in Borderlands 3. They didn't? Borderlands 3 didn't add any new Vault Hunters? Huh. Ultimate Vault Hunter mode was seen in a picture in hands-on footage. Oh, so that kind of got like a little oops-a-daisy leak? Or Wonderlands. So you're telling me Borderlands 3 and Tiny Tina Wonderland did not add any Vault Hunters? Huh. I don't think you could really add Vault Hunters to Tiny Tina's Wonderlands. Wasn't it like classes? And it was almost like an RPG structure a little bit. Like, it wasn't like make your own, but it was the closest to like a make your own Vault Hunter that they've ever done. Maybe they could have added new classes or something, or like new classifications for you to like build a character in Tiny Tina. What makes Borderlands 4 like Destiny? Well, let me go through this list with you guys. I wanted to hold off because I like to watch the chat when we're like a 5 bomb away. I want to see who gets it first. So I'll go through this list with you guys. About an hour into the stream, we have been doing these discussions, and I've got this. I'll let this short run that they created. And then I'll also get the tweet pulled up from Jor Raptor. Games confirmed for opening night live. Okay, perfect. I'm going to throw that into our games. And a 10 bomb comes in from Broken Earth. He says, this one is ours and then some. And I think Broken Earth's being really, really smart here. He doesn't just hit the 375. He gets it to 380. He wants a 20 bomb to 400. That's what this guy's doing. That's very, very slick. That's very, very smart. He's like, hey, let's get on the runway to the weekly goal. Let's do it. And he gets us there. I owe you guys a single. Thank you so much, Broken Earth. Every 25, I'm gifting. We are back to our roots. I know some of y'all are like, oh, I'm not gonna gift anymore. Don't worry about the currency thing that we discovered. We have fixed things on our end. It is not your responsibility to worry about that. It is our responsibility to fix it, and we have fixed it. So we can now continue doing what we've always done. All right? Don't feel any hesitancy, guilt, or don't feel bad or anything like that. You guys are amazing, and the support has been phenomenal. Let me slide this over here. There we go. Okay, so I think what we're going to need to do, though, is I'm going to need to grab my other capture so that I can do that. There we go. And then what we'll do, is that we'll do that. There we go. I love Borderlands 1 and 2. I did enjoy Borderlands 3. Okay, so if you guys engage in the discussion for the next 10 or 20 minutes, you may end up being featured on the channel. This is a great reason to be here and to be engaging in chat and adding to the conversation, okay? So I prepared a little talk about Borderlands being the next Destiny, all right? Thalrim, thank you so much for doing 5 months of memberships. I greatly appreciate that. I'm going to add you to the count. I'll have the count off for this segment, but thank you so much. The member battle is now 37 to 11. All right. So, Borderlands being the next Destiny. All right. Let's just go here and let's just get this thing started. All right. I know people are going to say no. I know they're going to disagree. They're going to immediately reject the idea, but I really want to put out the observation that Borderlands 4 really looks and sounds an awful lot like Destiny. It could be the next Destiny, and not in a rigid sense. I'm not thinking they have like some 10-year live service plan with a living world, and they're going to be doing like drip feed content or battle passes. That's not what I'm seeing here. More so in the sense they really seem to be taking a lot of signals from Destiny, and the list of similarities is growing to a degree where I really can't see this any other way. Now, keep in mind, Borderlands would likely approach an ongoing model very differently than how Bungie did with Destiny. So there's not going to be a need for battle passes or any of the tired tropes. Like right now, Destiny 2 Edge of Fate has been criticized rather heavily for being designed around engagement rather than enjoyment. And I don't think that is something that you would have to worry about within Borderlands, and I'll talk about why in a minute. I think they could just do the good old-fashioned content model that brings players back, and you kill new baddies and you get new loot, okay? So what put this on my radar was a tweet from JorRaptor, okay? Now when I read through this, what I want you to do is I want you to keep track of everything that sounds similar to stuff in Destiny. I'm going to go back and kind of commentate and say, all right, listen, this is what I think sounds very similar to Destiny, and I'll see if you agree with us, okay? Now, it's a lengthy tweet, but it's very, very worth reading. So the first thing he highlights is the game consists of 4 large open zones that can be seamlessly explored, so a lot less loading screens than previous entries. He also says that this means there's room for varied activities in the world, like protecting a drone while it's hacking, bosses you can find in the world, and platforming puzzles. He says you can find vault fragments. You combine them into a key. It opens access to a special vault dungeon with a unique boss and rewards. Movement has been expanded. You've got a glide, double jump, dash, even a grappling hook. This is all useful for traversal. That's been sort of highlighted since the very, very first gameplay reveal. There are 4 new Vault Hunters. We know that. We don't need to read that. Thanks to the new license part system, weapons can now combine parts and behaviors from multiple manufacturers in a single item. You can quickly respawn bosses without need. You can use this thing called Moxie's Encore Machine. This is great. It's a huge request from the community if you want to farm a boss for a particular drop. You have a Digi-Runner vehicle that can be summoned anywhere in the world. Grenades have been changed to ordnance, so you can have it be a rocket launcher, a cannon, throwing knives, and these are all now working on a cooldown. And there's a rep kit system or item that is then used to heal yourself mid-combat. Okay, so these are all new things that were revealed by JorRaptor in this tweet. Now, this was a sponsored tweet, so seemingly they are doing something in the realm of pushing out new information to let people know what's in the game. All right, JorRaptor has a whole video on this as well. We may take a look at that. Now, I'm going to give you the list that I think, man, that sounds an awful lot like Destiny, okay? First, the open zones that you can explore. This really sounds reminiscent to the public spaces and the public zones in Destiny 1 and 2. Not having really loading screens, but you've got these areas that can be explored. So that's number 1. Secondly, on top of this, the activities in those open spaces, like protecting a drone while it's hacking, that's like literally one of the most common things you do in Destiny. They've got these bosses. They've got these like sort of like public events that sound like things that we did in Destiny for years. There's also platforming puzzles. If you remember some of the puzzles in places like the Dreadnought and a lot of the other areas like it, that is a very common thing that Destiny did. So just those two at the very beginning have a whole host of similarities to Destiny. This vault fragment thing that you can find, make a key, you go into a dungeon, there's unique bosses, there's a unique reward. That sounds an awful lot like a Strike and a Lost Sector sort of combined. The movement, I mean, this is the one that I think set people off down this trail first. You got to double jump, you got to glide, you got to dash, you got to grapple. And if you've watched the gameplay, it really looks reminiscent of some of what we have seen in Destiny over the years with respect to movement. Little less face tanking, which is something that was always a little bit frustrating in Borderlands. Just kind of stand there and get shot. Not having any lateral agility. Well, that seems to be addressed in the new game. Now, the licensed part system, okay, sounds an awful lot like random rolls that's consistently going to have new loot. I know you're going to say, now listen, that was something that was in Borderlands in the past. That's not something new to Borderlands. No, but it really allows for constantly adding new loot, new additions, new areas, because the guns can be randomly rolled. You can also have completely new manufacturers maybe come into the fold, or if every manufacturer adds a handful of new parts, a handful of new archetypes, that adds a whole lot of new content and a whole lot of new loot for you to go and get. The Digirunner that you can summon anywhere in the world, it looks and sounds an awful lot like a Sparrow, and it dovetails with a more open space design that sounds very reminiscent of Destiny. The grenades, well, now grenades can be a variety of things. It's more than just a grenade, right? It could be a rocket launcher, it can be ordnance, and it functions on a cooldown, kind of like the grenades in Destiny function on a cooldown. Now, Moxie's Encore machine is a huge request from the Borderlands community, right? Hey, we want to grind a boss. Let us grind the boss, right? Let us keep going back in. You just kind of like respawn the boss. This still, though, is very much intentional loot grind, go get the drop thing. That is something that helps keep engagement going. That's just very adjacent to Destiny. That is something that people did. They would grind a Strike, they would grind a Nightfall, hoping to get a particular drop. So there were 10 things listed there. 8 of those 10 things sound an awful lot like Destiny. Now, I don't think this is an accident, okay? It could simply be the granddaddy of looter shooters sort of taking ideas from another great looter shooter and saying, okay, why would we not do similar things there? Maybe they're learning. Maybe they're saying, hey, these guys over here did something really good. We should be doing the same thing. It could be more than that. It could be more than just inspiration. They could be laying a foundation for a game that they would like to be ongoing longer than the previous titles. We know 2K, the publisher, they are a big fan of live service games. They could be pushing Gearbox to say, you guys need to structure this game in a way that can be added into the foreseeable future. And listen, I know live service is this huge stigma. People hear it and they're like, oh, they recoil, they don't want more live service. I think Borderlands could nail this format because you could just add new planets, new areas, new themes of enemies, weapons, just to expand and grow the game's experience. Somebody mentioned Diablo Rifts, like the Rift system in Diablo 3 that everybody loves so much. You could literally create like some sort of technology in the lore of the universe where you get transmatted into a random vault, work your way through it, kill a boss, get loot, get out, and just do that over and over again. That'd be a great way to have seasonal, fun, almost eternal content. You could add things like spaces to explore, new public events, vaults, bosses, guns. All these things could be added within the systems that I just read to you, where you've got vault keys and bosses and the licensed part system on the guns. And none of this would have to be structured around what has frustrated people with other live service games. You would not have to create a Borderlands that's built off of engagement. Like, well, we got to keep the player funnel full because that's not the kind of game that Borderlands is. It would be a very content-focused model where those that want more content and more experiences could continue to play. We also know they love adding more characters and more Vault Hunters, which they could certainly do. That'd be a great way to add to the game without having to sort of reinvent subclasses or add new subclasses like Destiny had to do over the years. That would probably be one of the biggest challenges here, is that you have Vault Hunters that you would max out, you would have your skill trees all the way full, and essentially that would just become a static part of your character, of your existence. And then you would be essentially just grinding for guns. But that's basically what these games are always about. They're becoming about the guns. Like the late stage grind for most people in these games is, I want to go get the best gun. I want to go get the best loot. Okay. You would, though, I think, maybe start to feel like, man, we really need another player archetype, another Vault Hunter archetype. And that would be one of the dilemmas of an ongoing model for a game like Borderlands 4. So I'm actually curious what people think about this, because if you actually made it this far in the discussion, I'm kind of curious what chat's going to say here. Like, D2 engagement grind is straight BS. Borderlands has always hooked me with the looter-shooter aspect, and it values my time as a gamer. I think Borderlands could avoid all of those tropes. It does not have to be this engagement-focused game where, like, yeah, you absolutely have to stay in the game. There's FOMO. There's events that you might... Now, events can be still in the game, like fun Christmas events, holiday events, things like that. I think that's fine to have limited-time events. But the primary thrust of the content would not need to be, well, we need to motivate engagement. We need people to keep coming back. We need people to stay in the game for forever. I watched numerous videos about Destiny 2 Edge of Fate, and that was the primary source of criticism. Even before I was no longer playing Destiny, the last time I remember wanting to, like, quit an activity, it was some activity where, like, I was going into a lost sector and I was grinding for some, ingredient that just wouldn't drop. And it literally felt like, this is designed to be withholding so that I just keep playing. I don't think you would ever need to do that in a game like Borderlands. The way they've structured the bosses, as an example, the way they've spoken about their exotics or their legendaries, like they're going to be dropping less often, while you're swimming in a sea of, like, randomly rolled purples. So as it stands, I think this game has way more in common with Destiny than I originally thought, and it could end up being a really, really good, for many people, like a Destiny replacement. Now, I'm never going to argue that a game can kill Destiny, or that, oh, this is the Destiny killer. I think that's probably to a game's peril to start directly comparing itself to Destiny. I think, Bungie's doing a bang-up job hurting Destiny all on their own over the years. They don't need any help. But I don't think this game is necessarily going to be the Destiny replacement in that regard. But it certainly could be a nice sort of adjacent pivot for a lot of players that are sort of tired of Destiny and they just want another great game to chase loot in. And Borderlands 4 could do that in a way that is ongoing far beyond just a year or two. I could see this game adding content 3, 4, and 5 years from now in a healthy way that players enjoy and is good for the franchise and the company. So I want to know what you think. You can leave a comment. Make sure you're here for live shows and discussions as well, because I think topics like this are great to discuss. So Borderlands does a good job of making most weapons feel very fun before getting the God Roll ETC to drop. And I think that's key. Like, if you're having fun, it doesn't feel like a drudgery, it doesn't feel like a grind. Now, Willie Kale, I started that little speech before you did your Member Plus renewal. Thank you for 37 months and a Member Plus. I appreciate it so much. And a 5-bomb comes in from Jack Garland, and that is going to take us to, what is that, 38? That's going to take us to 43 for old YouTube over there. And that's going to take us to 2. That's going to take us to 387. Getting closer and closer to the weekly goal to unlock Friday night. We'll see if you guys manage to hit it this week. They can take a claim on the TWAB this week at Borderlands. They could take the TWAB, that's right. This week at Borderlands. A little bit of grinding is fine, but grinding to extend game time in a game with no PvP is unnecessary. I do think, in general, the grind in Borderlands would be completely volitional and voluntary. Nobody would be like, oh man, they're making us grind, or yeah, the game's basically a grind fest now. That wouldn't happen. I don't think anybody would feel that twinge. It's literally voluntary. It's like, oh, this boss drops this weapon. I can use this Moxie thing to respawn the boss if I want, and I can keep killing the boss and hope for the drop. I don't know if you guys have done this before, but whenever you do something like that, it becomes almost ritualistic. You have a pattern, you have a set thing that you do. This is actually something that I remember sort of enjoying in Wu Chang Fallen Feathers. once you get stuck on a boss, that boss becomes your temporary home. That's where you live. You know how to get to the room fast. You know how to get to phase 2 fast. You know how to block X attack and B attack and Y attack. And I do think a boss grind can bring that element of, oh man, I'm sort of in a rhythmic ritual right now that's fun and satisfying. And if it starts to get old, like you can move on. But again, I really do think that is something that's voluntary and it wouldn't feel like coerced. Like, well, the only way to really enjoy Borderlands 4 gameplay is to grind your face off. As long as they avoid that and it feels like you can enjoy the game in a healthy way at your sort of leisure, you don't feel this sense of like pressure to push and to grind you wouldn't necessarily feel like you're being forced. Like, let me say it this way. The way that Destiny has operated is they bring new content to you. And the only way to enjoy that new content is you kind of have to play by their rules. And it can be very grindy and very frustrating. It's why, I would go on tangents about how like leveling isn't content, right? So, Borderlands would be able to avoid all of those trappings because it wouldn't be that. It would be, and one of the reasons, the Destiny does that is Destiny needs those engagement numbers. Destiny needs people to stay in the funnel for the matchmaking in Crucible to work, for the matchmaking in Strikes to work, for the public spaces and all that to feel like a living world, for the tower to feel like a living world. Borderlands doesn't need any of that. So they wouldn't have to structure their content around, well, we really need people to stay in the game. We really need people grinding. We really need people in the player funnel. No. They could be like, we dropped a new area. We dropped a new boss. We dropped new weapons. There you go. Go have a ball. If it's content focused instead of player funnel focused, I think that you can avoid a lot of those trappings and a lot of those things that frustrate players, where they feel like you've just designed this game to literally keep me on the treadmill as long as possible. Destiny sucks up all your time. Borderlands just needs to be a game that you can get everything you do in 120 hours. Well, what I'm imagining is that a year from now, they would say, hey, we've got this whole new thing where you're going to go to a new planet, and there's new vaults, and there's new enemies, and there's new weapons. Or they could do the Rift system, where, like what they did in Diablo with the Rift system in Diablo 3, where you would get sort of transmatted to a random vault. So, like, again, and I'm just making this up off the top of my head, within the lore of Borderlands, you could have somebody say, we've been going about this all wrong. Instead of trying to find keys to get into these mysterious vaults, we've developed technology to just transmat you in and out of vaults. We know all their locations. The more you research, the more you find. Like when Lilith pushes the key in at the end of Borderlands 2, you literally get like a map of vaults. Well, they could say, listen, we've been going about this all wrong. We can actually just transmat you into a vault, but the technology would be limited, and you'd only maybe have so much time in there or something, which I know people would hate. I don't like timed content myself, so maybe the timed aspect wouldn't need to be there, but they could say something to the effect of, with the limitations of the technology, we can never transmat you back to the exact same vault, which would be like the Rift system in Diablo. It would always be sort of random. It would always be sort of, a new place. Or they could say, we can't transmat you to the exact same location in the vault. So it would always culminate in a boss and a vault at the end. Like if that season or that piece of content had like a theme, you'd be going to the same vault in quotations, but it would be random and different every time, because they would say, listen, these vaults are enormous. We can't even guarantee where you're going to land or what it's going to look like, and that would be a great way for ongoing content within the Borderlands universe that it'd be lore savvy and lore consistent, while also enabling them to have an ongoing content model that would just be, it would be literally about fun. It wouldn't be about, oh, you got to play like crazy, and you got a battle pass to grind, and you got this to do and that to do, and this activity is going to take you a real long time, and you got to level your character up. They could avoid all of that and just get to the goods. Like, that's what made, I think that's one of the things that made, Diablo 3's Loot 2.0 system so appealing. It was just like, yeah, just come and play. Just come play. You don't gotta worry about all this other stuff. Yeah, just come play, just come grind, just get stuff. Like, that was the entire point. And I think people really liked it for that reason. It got a lot of the nonsense out of the way. Thank you, Johnny, always for using the tip command in chat. If you guys ever want to support the channel directly, you can do that with a tip. You can also unlock a Friday night stream if we hit the goal of 500 members on the week. We're a little under that right now. We need about 110 members before the end of today. Getting sus vibes from this, says Sven. Neo Berlin 2087. I've not watched the trailer. Yeah, this is like one of those Unreal games where they've really, really focused on motion capture, and the gameplay that they're showing is, it just says wish list now, Neo Berlin, and it also says gameplay trailer, and I don't feel like I'm watching any gameplay. A unique third-person action RPG crafted for fans of immersive single-player experiences. Uncover a deep narrative-driven story through never-before-seen gameplay, new levels, cinematic cutscenes, and intense combat. Yeah, I don't know if this is... I don't feel like we're looking at actual gameplay. Getting mind's eye vibes. Well, and it's doing this thing where, like, it's extremely quick cuts. Like, they're showing stuff like this, and then they cut away, and they're showing stuff like this, and they cut away, and they're showing stuff like this, and then they cut away, and they're showing stuff like this, and then they cut away, and this cut away, and cut away, and cut away, and cut away. Like, I didn't even know it was going to do that. This is my first time watching it, and I was almost perfectly on time with all those cutaways, and I was being exaggeratory, and they were literally cutting away every time I said it practically. Yeah, this has got big mind's eye vibes. I wonder if we're going to continue to get these games that try to leverage these new engines, and they create like a really flashy trailer, and they call it a quote-unquote gameplay trailer, and it's not. It's not gameplay, like, at all. It's simulated post-rendered crap, and then the game's going to come out and be just like Mind's Eye. Especially with the degree of quality you can get in cutscenes now. You can create these just amazing cutscenes. I mean, smaller studios are cranking out incredible work in that realm. I mean, if you look at the Eric Solm game that I told you guys, could end up being like a sleeper hit this year, that's an example of a game where the cutscenes look incredible. They're like high level. I mean, they look like a AAA production quality cutscene. And it's like it's a small studio. It's a small game. Now, that can be good. That can benefit a game like that. You can end up with a game that's like, wow, that's impressive. That looks really good. Or you can end up with games like this, like Neo Berlin or Mind's Eye, where you get a trailer and you're sort of like, what's going on here? You guys got these really, really high quality cutscenes and character models, but the gameplay seems like you're trying to pull one over on me here. It seems like you're playing some shenanigans. So we all know the NDA has remained tight to the release of the game. Well, we don't know what's going on with that one. I mean, Neo Berlin could be amazing. It could be. As a gameplay trailer debut for Gamescom, I need to see actual raw gameplay. I need to see somebody controlling the character and actually running around and playing. None of this highly edited, highly cut away stuff. No. Guys, really quickly, if you haven't done this yet, take a brief moment and look at that thumbs up button and make sure that you've hit it and make sure it's saved your like. Likes are incredibly helpful. It's free. So just take 2 seconds. Let's try to get to 300 likes. I bet you guys can do that. And the last couple times we tried to cover Borderlands, it's been rough. This has been good. That's encouraging. I really like Borderlands. And I know the interest in this one has been a little bit tepid because I think understandably, I think people are like, I don't know, the last one was kind of bad. So I understand people's hesitancy. I'm convinced that they built a really good Borderlands. I am. I'm convinced they've built a really, really good Borderlands. And I'm excited. Now, obviously, if it's no good, I'll be the first in line to say that it's no good. So we will obviously be trying to cover this with a decent amount of regularity, going forward, because the game is about a month away. Which actually, they bumped the release date back, didn't they? It's actually closer than I was thinking, because it's on like the 12th, isn't it? Yeah, it's very close. It's less than a month away. The Borderlands 4 release date is fast approaching. So, you should do some gameplay of Tiny Tina or Borderlands 3 on Fridays leading up to Borderlands 4. No, I would have no interest in that. I don't like playing a franchise before the next one comes out. It tends to burn me out. I was really, really glad that I played Death Stranding 1 and then had like a month and a half or 2 months of buffer before the new game came out. Because if I would have played Death Stranding 1 right into Death Stranding 2, I would have been so burned out. Yeah, and I don't really have any desire to play either of those games. Behemoth, it's going to be your first Borderlands. I hope they nail it. It seems like there are more potential newcomers. Guys, really quickly, I'm not sure what this is. I'm not sure why this keeps happening. Double check that the likes are working. I have no idea what this is. But it's not updating. It is not updating. I'm gonna double check on my end. Let me refresh. It literally hasn't moved. I don't know. They have updated my back dashboard on lives, and I feel like I'm totally in the dark. Okay, it's working. The like button's working for me. Double check that. I have no idea why this is becoming such a headache, but that one aspect is super important, and it just doesn't seem to be working consistently all of a sudden. I don't know if that's happening on other channels or videos, but Jiminy Christmas. I'm like, yeah, let's get some likes. And it like literally doesn't move. And I'm like, is the website just broken? You could watch some cutscenes from Borderlands 3 to catch up on the storyline narrative. I don't think you're going to need to catch up on any story narrative from Borderlands 3. Yeah. I don't think you're going to need to. It like the story is going to be so loosely tied to BL3. I think it's like it's almost going to feel like a soft reboot, honestly. Yo, thank you, Behemoth, for a VIP Plus membership. I greatly appreciate it. Gets us to 380. Whoops, no, hang on. 388, not 389. Sorry. 388. Appreciate you. And we will bump the line here to 44. The story does start after BL3, but like, I don't think you're going to need to care about what happens in Borderlands 3. Like, I don't think you're going to be like, oh man, I'm totally in the dark. What's going on here? Like, I really need to know what happened with those twins. I would say the gist of the story is there were baddies, you beat baddies, and now we're in another we're on another planet. You know, a game trying to still be Destiny. I've seen that already. I don't think Borderlands 4 is trying to be Destiny. I don't think they're trying to be Destiny. I think there's a mountain of similarities. Disagree? I don't think I've seen a single thing about Borderlands 4 where you're going to be like, oh, I really need to know what's going on. They literally did an outline of like what the story's about in Borderlands 4. It doesn't have any mention of like the baddies from BL3. They're going to bring Lilith back, and it's going to be a big deal. Right, that's a big deal to fans of Borderlands, though. Like, a newcomer that hasn't played Borderlands 3, they would need a story so far of, like, BL 1, 2, and 3. I was responding to somebody who's like, oh, I'm new. Well, I need to know what happened in BL 3. And it's like, Not really. I mean, you would literally want to go back and get a story so far about all of it, because BL3 wouldn't make any sense to them either as a newcomer. They would say the same thing in BL3. They'd be like, who is this chick? What significance does she have? You know what I mean? And 2 singles come in from Raphael McCoy. I know what he's doing. The spirit of Stone Spire and Joker Quinn and all those single gifters is alive and well. We're a 10 bomb away from 400. Let's see if anybody wants to steal it. Whoever hits it gets it. Twitch against YouTube. I owe you a member, whoever does it. Those people are going to be like, what about the entire game? Yeah, I was responding to the idea of a brand new player feeling the need to go back to BL3. And I'm like, if you're a brand new player, I don't think so. I think you'll be able to just jump into BL4 and be just fine. The story's going to be very loosely tied to what happens in BL3. Now, if you want a story so far from like BL1 to BL3, I am sure there are going to be some big Borderlands fans out there that do that. And are like, here you go, here's a video. So then, yes, I would totally encourage somebody to get a full story recap. I don't think BL3 is worth a darn. I don't think a new player should go back and spend any time in there. Joker Quinn's going to make it an Agent of Chaos. If anybody decides to steal this milestone, we are now 9 away. Thank you so much, Joker Quinn. Should we really care? BL3 story felt off. On a sour note with Ava. I think it's great to go to some other planet to expand the universe. You think it'll be like God of War 2018, a sequel, but also a soft reboot? It kind of feels that way. Like, I don't know how much mention there's going to be of, like, Handsome Jack or any of the stuff that happens in BL1. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know. I think there'll be through lines of certain characters and certain elements with people like Moxie and others, you know? But I don't think there's going to be, like, this immense emphasis of, like... I mean, truth be told, I actually think pretty much Borderlands 2, 3, the pre-sequel, and Tiny Tina, they all feel like soft reboots to a certain extent. Like, yes, the story continues, but you can jump in with any one of those games and not be like, I really need to know what's going on here, because they just sort of set up a new area, a new feel, a new vibe, a new baddie. I don't know if any time a Borderlands has come out, there's ever been like this need to be like, I really need to do a deep lore dive here in a story so far so I know what's going on. Space Marine 2 made references to the first Space Marine, but I'm sure you did fine. Without Space Marine 1, you lost some depth, but you understood what was going on. Yes, and I think all of the Borderlands games that have ever come out have all sort of felt that way. There's not this strong need to know what's going on, or to know the past, or to know the history. Because especially Borderlands 2. Borderlands 2 is like... It's such a departure from 1. Like, Roland's completely different. The way him and Lilith interact is weird. You know, I would argue that the thing that really redeems Borderlands 2 is Handsome Jack and his daughter. I don't think the actual mainline characters in Borderlands 2, I don't think they do a great job with them. Like, Roland's not even remotely the same. Like, if you play the first Borderlands, and then you play the second Borderlands, and you like Roland, you're like, who is this guy? In Borderlands 2, it's like a completely different dude. It's like a completely different character. I think that's one of the reasons why a lot of the frustrations that people had with Borderlands 3, I was like, Borderlands 2 wasn't really all that much better as far as like having a really strong through line of characters and having like a really compelling story. I thought the story was kind of cheesy and kind of corny in BL2. There was a more gritty nature. There was like a very almost disturbing nature to BL1. especially when you listen to all of Tanis's tapes. Like, if you take the time to listen to any of the recordings that Tanis like left behind, BL1's kind of dark. Is Roland chasing a man in black across the desert? No, I think he's like a gunslinger. He has style in the first game. He says things like, you know, it's like Christmas. We got guns over here, wasting daylight, fool. You know, he says things like, critical biatch. Like, he says things like that. And then you get into Borderlands 2 and he's like, Vault Hunter, you did a great job taking him. Hang on a second. And it's like, what the heck happened to him? He's not, it's a completely different character. It's like character assassination. Like, I feel like Mordecai and Brick and Lilith all seem pretty consistent from BL1 to BL2. Roland's a different person. It's not the same. There's nothing about him that stays similar at all. Who is the Irish gunslinger in BL3? Yeah, Zane. You want to talk about character assassination? Well, the movie was a joke. I mean, we don't even need to consider. I mean, come on. Kevin Hart is Roland for sure. I mean, but again, we lost the Roland from Borderlands 1 in Borderlands 2. He just disappears into thin air. It's like, I don't know who this guy is. I literally, at one point, when I was playing through Borderlands 2 for the very first time, I thought Roland was a robot. I thought that's what they're telling me here. With the way he was talking, with his wooden delivery of his lines, he was suddenly very serious. I was like, he's a robot. We're going to find out that he's like a spy or like a plant from Hyperion and Handsome Jack. That's what I thought. So when the big moment came, when Handsome Jack kills Roland, I was honestly expecting Roland to betray us and for us to find out that it wasn't really him. Because he's so not, it's not the same. He's so different. He's so dramatically different from BL1 to BL2. I thought Roland was much more interesting in BL2. I don't know why. I mean, there wasn't much to him. He was just the leader of the resistance. I mean, he was a pretty cliche character. I mean, they dropped hints here and there about like him and Tiny Tina, but I don't know. It felt a little I don't know. It felt like a completely different character. And the reason maybe I was more frustrated by it was because Roland was my favorite from BL1. He was the character I always played as. I loved being able to put his turret down. He was my favorite. I didn't want to play as Brick. Wasn't really interested in Mordecai. And when I finally got my wife to play BL1 with me, I let her play as Lilith because I said if you ever need to like panic, you can literally disappear. Like that's her ability. And she would sit back. One of her favorite things was she would get scoped weapons, and she would kind of sit back. I would push forward. I'd throw down my turret, and I'd be kind of the point man. She'd kind of stay and hang back with. She'd hang back with scoped weapons. He had a lot more responsibilities. He had to be more serious. Yeah, but again, there are plenty of leaders in video games and people that are thrust into positions like that don't suddenly turn into like very wooden, very monotone, serious people. All of his voice acting gets squashed. I'm telling you, it doesn't even sound like the same character. It's like he completely changes his personality, his charisma, his arrogance, his cockiness. It's all gone. He's just this like, I don't know. And then they try to put in this weird, awkward romance, with him and Lilith, and it's just, I don't know. I don't think it works. That's why when people were like, really miffed about BL3, what's interesting is people seem to be primarily frustrated by BL3 because of the villains. And I think it's because literally the thing that redeems Borderlands 2 the most is Handsome Jack and Scooter. I think they're probably the two best elements of Borderlands 2, and Tiny Tina. Those three. I think the main Vault Hunters, especially Roland and Lilith, I just think they come across as like really awkward and extremely like cringe. Yeah, I saw that. Wu Chang is apparently getting like review bombed. People are really upset about it. They're calling it censorship. I don't think people understand what that word means. They throw that word around the minute something changes in a video game that they don't like. They're like, "Oh, it's censorship." There was backlash over famous Chinese historical characters and figures dying, and so they adjusted the game to where you just exhaust them and they don't actually die. And people are very upset because they feel like it really changes the fundamentals of the game. What would you call it? I don't think altering a story due to backlash is censorship. Like, censorship is when a governing body comes in and prevents you from seeing something or takes something away or hides it. This was altering whether or not a player dies or character dies because they got backlash. Now, did they get backlash from the government? Well, then you could say maybe we're wandering into a territory of censorship. But if the actual culture itself says, hey, we don't like this, we don't like the way you depicted this, and you're responding to that consumer negative feedback, I don't know. I feel like games do that all the time. I can confirm it does feel... So you're saying not actually being able to kill the enemies? I've never liked that. They did that a bunch in Rise of the Ronin, and they did that in the one Honglin fight. Like, she just runs away, and that was very unsatisfying to, like, get to the end of the fight and she just runs. I'm like, what the frick? Folks praising Chinese and other Eastern games for not being too political need a serious reality check. Yeah, there's one thing that some of those countries are known for is they don't get political at all. The government doesn't meddle in any of their affairs. Listen, the Chinese market is ripe for growth in the gaming world. It is. It's a huge market. And the China Hero Project could yield very good results. But to act like that region of the world and those developers are going to like somehow deliver you from the evils of games that either get too political or censored, it's like you're probably going to find similar things happening in those games, which as evidenced by Wu Chang being like, well, we got pushback, we're not going to kill these characters now. Why do they change all the versions all over the world? Well, I would say version control would be a nightmare, Zuby. What are they going to do? To, like, have you only download this patch if you're in this region, and then they download a different patch, and then all future patches have to be, you know, there's different versions. There's always going to be the non-Chinese patches, and then that gets ridiculous. I don't think they would ever want to do that. Yeah. So I don't know if it was the CCP that pushed for this. There were also people that were upset they made the game too easy now. And I'm like, what I read sounded like they literally listened to feedback. When I streamed the game for you guys, I showed you and highlighted a boss that was knocking me down, and I would get back up and immediately get hit, and I was stun locked. They addressed that. They addressed the mines being too lethal. It's kind of funny, like everything I highlighted in my critiques and my review is being addressed by the developer. Once again, it's always interesting to me that when you're sort of critical of a game or you point out flaws, you know, people that don't like you will say, well, he's crying and needs to get good. And then when the developers respond, I'm always like, well, what do you have to say now? Like, clearly I was right in my feedback. Basic analysis of those fights would be, this is robbing the player of volition and setting them up for damage that cannot be mitigated, which I don't think is a good way to treat the player. Like, oh, I made a mistake, you knocked me down. Well, now that that's a death sentence, I'm not allowed to get back up. Like, that's stupid. So the fact that they address that is quite literally a sign that I was right. And it's also a sign of, like, that's just good development. Like, that's how boss fights should go. There should be elements of pain for mistakes that are not exaggerated just because of, like, well, you lay on the ground for a long time. Oh, and when you get back up, you're vulnerable. Like, what? Like, that's stupid. Like, just kill me then. Get it over with. Don't let me sit here and, like, suffer. Like, well, I know what's going to happen if I get back up. You know what I mean? The only thing they actually changed is that you can't get insta-killed now. Yeah, that's all they changed. That doesn't make the game, like, really, really easy all of a sudden. It just means you can survive a mistake. Oh, the horror. Like, I guess everybody else is what? You playing the game flawlessly? Are you not making mistakes? Like Jiminy Christmas, everybody's going to make a mistake. You're going to misread a telegraph, especially when they make telegraphs that are similar on purpose. They do that so you misfire. Or it's a delayed telegraph. They do that so you misfire. They're trying to promote, awareness and precision, which I think is totally fine. But making a mistake is part of the journey. That mistake should be adequately punished, not overly punished. People always want others to suffer too. Don't fix it because I had to deal with it. See, I've never had that mindset. I'm like, man, I hope they fix this for you guys because that boss was really frustrating. Imagine games being a little bit easier to beat. See, but I think that's a miscategorization. I wouldn't say it's easier to beat. They didn't make it easier. They corrected a flaw. Like, that's a flaw. That's not how that mechanic's supposed to work. We all know that in games like this, you can get knocked down. And it should not be a stun lock. It just shouldn't be. That doesn't make any sense. The game doesn't let you do that to the enemy as it is. It's not like when you get a really big hit on them, when they go to get back up, you just get to do it again. Now, sure, you can run up and hit them a couple of times, but if you do it to the player, you're removing the player from the equation. It's like, well, I don't have any volition over what's happening right now. It's a flaw. It's a mistake. It's not how it's supposed to work. And they admit that when they fix it. They're like, oh, yeah, this isn't really how we intended this to play out. We didn't intend a knockdown to turn into a stun lock death sentence. Like, that's not the purpose of the attack. The purpose of the attack is to punish you for misreading a pretty heavy swing. Totally understand fixing overturned mechanics is different. Yeah, if you're fixing an overtuned mechanic, that's not them going in like, well, we want to make the game quote-unquote easier. Well, making the game easier would be adding an easy mode, lowering damage output of all enemies, all bosses, increasing damage output of the player against all enemies, against all bosses. The game itself is not easier simply because they rectified what many would consider to be a flaw in the exchange of damage. Like, that's not how those mechanics are supposed to function. Imagine going into any fight in any of these games and you make one wrong mistake and they hit you and they're like, haha, I hit you. Now I get to grab you and cut your head off dead. And you're like, oh, I have to start over. Well, nobody would want to play that because what you're doing is you're creating an instance where you need to play flawlessly, and that's not enjoyable. There's a happy medium right there in the middle where you're playing better and better and better, and you're improving, so the mistakes are happening less and less and less, but you're never really playing. I mean, there obviously are fights where you get so good, where when you finally roll them over and you beat them, maybe you do play flawlessly. Like, sometimes that'll happen. That's rare. I think the average person that finally overcomes a boss, it's messy. And I think that's part of the enjoyment. Joker says, looks like Lono and Madam are getting night off this Friday. I mean, I'm not going to belabor the point. We're 2 hours in. We're having a good day, but there ain't a lot of time left. Chicago Bulls 1984 says, hit the like. You get grabbed and you hear that line. It was then that I knew. Oh, it was then that he knew he effed up. That's right. I met that one boss. I know the game wants me to parry her, but I don't want to. I like a challenge. You talking about Honglin in the water? I've beaten Dark Souls 1 and Elden Ring hitless. It takes a lot of practice. Oh, for sure. And the fact that people do it and it's considered to be a huge achievement and it's considered to be sort of like anomalous is because the game isn't designed that way. Like, it's not designed with the expectation like you should be beating a boss without getting hit. The getting hit and course correcting at some level is its own expression of skill. Like, when you get hit and you make a mistake, but you stay cool and you stay in the lane and you recover, that takes its own level of skill. Because some people get completely thrown off. Like, you get hit, you get damaged. I mean, we've all been there. Like, the whole fight falls apart. You can't get back in the rhythm. You can't get back in the flow state. And you're just like, that's a wipe. And you kind of like let them kill you. I think getting hit, especially when you're very close to the end and you're about to beat them and you make a mistake, but you stay focused and you stay calm and you still succeed, I think that is sometimes just as satisfying as finessing the fight and never getting hit. Staying calm under pressure and not making more mistakes and having the whole thing unravel, I think that's its own expression of skill. It really depends on your build. I run dual blade, life leech clash build, and it's like you are Beyblade, but that can't be stopped. I'm still stuck on Sekiro. That game is not for the weak. It certainly is not for the weak, no. Maintaining discipline when the boss is one hit away takes discipline. For sure. It does. Guys, if you have been watching this morning and enjoying the show, take a quick second and hit the like button. Try to get us to 300. We appreciate you being here. If you haven't hit subscribe yet, hit subscribe. Set your bell button to all. That'll enable you to talk in my chat. You'll get my uploads. You'll get my content all throughout the week. We do uploads on the weekend now as well. So if you miss any of the content during the week, you might end up seeing something over the weekend that is there for you. Hang on. There we go. I forgot that I can throw these into frame now. Okay. It was my most satisfying for me in Liza P when I took a folks' advice in Discord and adapted, and the fights finally clicked. Swamp Monster and Nameless Puppet. Yeah, I had that moment in Sekiro at Madame Butterfly. I had that moment where somebody in chat was trying to communicate this to me, and we were having that failure to communicate. It's hard in a chat because the streamer's very invested, and they'll look at chat very briefly, and then, you know, at least I do this, and I just kind of dive back in. I don't take a lot of time to reflect, so I typically am very quick to just like, I'm going to run back in. So somebody said, hit her until she deflects. There it is, Jasper. Jasper knows what I'm going to say. Hit her until she deflects. And I'm like, okay, and I tried it. And like my eyes got big, and I was like, what? It's like a light bulb went off. I was like, oh my gosh, there's an entire element of this game that I now understand that I did not understand. Yeah. Do we know who said it? We should go back to that broadcast. We should go back to that broadcast and see if we can find who said it so we can give them credit. You know? That would be a fun little a task. Maybe we could do that this afternoon in Green Room. That's a great reason to be a member. You can use Prime, you can sub, you can upgrade to Member Plus or VIP, and you will get access to Green Room. And you guys will no longer be able to watch Green Room on Purple for free. I now have the ability to do sub-only content over there. That means Friday Night with Madam will now also be sub-only over there. So no more watching that for free. That is extra content that we do, which it looks like we may not do a Friday night stream. We need about 109 members, which we've had people go crazy on Friday before, but that has not been happening because we've made some adjustments, and I think people are a little gun-shy, understandably, but you do not need to be gun-shy. You are not going to hurt me or the channel with your gifts. We have fixed that problem. I'm afraid I will not enjoy combat of other games now that I finished Sekiro Masterpiece. Yeah, I think that, like, Sekiro is definitely a game that I shouldn't have played before Elden Ring. I shouldn't have. I should not have played before Elden Ring. I honestly, I think I would have enjoyed Elden Ring more if I would have gone right from Dark Souls 3 into Elden Ring. The going from a beautiful parry system to rolling on the ground like a drunkard, I'm like, I don't like it. I really, really like a parry and a block system more than a dodging system. I think it's more interesting. Now, I liked the dodge in Wu Chang because it was more of like a dash, and it had like this fluidity to it. It was like a dance instead of like rolling on the ground like an idiot. Jack Garland says, come back to us, MASH. Yeah, I don't know if he's been here this week, but he does not need to feel like, oh, I need to back off. He does not need to do that. We have fixed the problem. That he doesn't have to worry about that. That's on us. It's our responsibility, not his. And Terminal Stupidity drops a 10 bomb on Purple and takes the milestone away from YouTube. You guys better watch out. You got one of the big boys hanging out on purple now. Terminal stupidity is not to be trifled with. And they could combine forces over there on purple and win the day. It's now 47-21. I owe purple a single, and here it comes. If you guys got a gifted from Terminal Stupidity, be sure to say thank you to him for that. You like the swishy dodges, not the rolly dodges? Yes. Yes, I do. And guys, we only need 26 more likes on YouTube. I've been having to ask for likes twice now. I don't know why. I don't know if it's not counting it, but that's like the third time today the like count hasn't moved. I don't know why that's happening. I am sorry. If the platform's being goofy, I really hope they fix that, because that is that's not something I have control over. I wish I did, but I'm not sure why that's happening. But yes, I like a dodge that has like an element of fluidity or player empowerment to it. Rolling on the ground just doesn't look, it just, I don't know. You don't feel cool doing it. There's an element of like, you feel cool when you like perfectly parry or block or like perfectly dodge out of the way, you know? Does that make sense? Canceled Last of Us Online game director founded a new studio and is developing an online multiplayer game with Naughty Dog-style cinematic action. Former Naughty Dog dev Vint Argawam and Joe Pinanati, former new studio with offices. Hang on, I can't read the rest of this. It doesn't. It says what, and then it just stops. What's that? Oh, what style do you think the game would be? I mean, obviously, if he left and felt like they had good ideas with factions, with The Last of Us Online, you know, I mean, they could certainly take another crack at it with another studio. You know, I feel cool when I'm rolling, especially when I do it at the perfect direction. I love it. I'll tell you what, you know what it is? To me, it's the fact that I did it in Dark Souls 3 the whole time. And then I played Sekiro. And Sekiro has a dodge, but it also has the block. It has the parry. And I was like, okay, I like this more. And it felt regressive to go back to like rolling around on the ground. You know? I don't know. Like it didn't feel like an evolution of the combat that I had been experiencing. You're not as big on parrying? Yeah, I think parrying is just, there's just something so empowering about it. The sound that it makes, the fact that it completely nullifies their damage, and in like, you know, Kazan, it like puts the damage back on them. Oh, I love it. Because I'm not good at it. Yeah, I mean, that would definitely be a turnoff. I mean, I'm not good at fighting games, which is part of the reason why I never got into them. Like, I think sometimes your affinity for something is very tied to your ability. So I just was better at shooters. I gravitated to shooters, you know. I was never good at fighting games or sports games, so I just kind of gravitated away from them. I want Souls Parry to be better. A good parry is heroin. It really is. I would love a Souls, like, you know, Elden Ring and Souls, if they do future Souls games. I would love their parry systems to be more like Sekiro or like Lies of P or Kazan. It just feels better. Having a better parry in Souls plus having the roll would be peak. Yeah, you could really combine. There were times in Wu Chang that felt really good in that particular way. The guy that I labeled the spear boss, he had an attack where it just felt more sensible to dodge the first and parry the second, and it just felt phenomenal to do that. And Terminal Stupidity does another 10 bomb, but this one he does on YouTube, spreading the love around. He's not interested in fighting for one particular side. He's just supporting the community. We are well on our way. You guys could unlock tonight. Now you're in the pocket. A bunch of 5 bombs would do it. A bunch of y'all gathering around and pushing for it We could carve a new path here, all right? We could. We don't need 50s on 50s and 20s on 20s. Those are welcome, but we don't. We could do this in our own scrappy way. I appreciate that, Terminal. Liza P, I enjoy, but the parry in the game feels off for some reason. Really? I think Kazan is at worst a half step down from the perfection that is Sekiro's combat system. I had some guys last night that were irritating me, and then I got their timing down, and it felt so good. It was like, oh, if they do that wind up, it's a ping, ping, ping. If they do that wind up, it's a ping, and then a really long ping. And buddy, it felt good. I was like, oh, here it comes. Ping, ping, ping. It's like, oh, when you nail it, dude, it's like, yep, gotcha. It's such a good feeling. Because certain enemies, I feel like they do this on purpose in Kazan in particular. Certain enemies, they want them to be annoying so that you get a better and a stronger sense of elation when you figure them out. Because the next time they show up, you're like, I've got your number. I know exactly what that telegraph means. I know exactly how many of these stupid swings you're going to do. Like, I don't know. I think there's an element there that's really interesting to consider, that they are, at some level, intentionally frustrating you. Right? They're intentionally doing it. Because overcoming it, you have a greater sense of satisfaction, because now you're able to kind of take down the guy that was, annoying you. Give your squad mates accurate call outs by turning on the compass. Yeah, what they need to do next then, if they're going to, if they're going to encourage people to use the compass, is you could make the compass a little bit bigger if you move that god-awful, humongous score from the top of the screen to down in the corner by the radar. Kazan gives you a lot more power scaling than Sekiro. Gear and set bonuses and speed up can speed up a boss fight and create less chance for screw-ups. Sekiro is better at making you rely on the core mechanics at a higher percentage. Here's what I love about my current build in Kazan. I was so glad once I could finally make the Executioner's armor, because in the open spaces, you can then really, really go heavy on whittling down their posture. You get the heavy obliterate attack, or whatever it's called on them, a fatal attack. I think it's a fatal attack. And you heal off of it. And you heal twice. You heal off the first hit of the fatal and the second hit of the fatal. The Executioner armor feels fantastic in that game. I just feel like I'm able to stay healthy. It was like that in Wu Chang when I got the relic that you could heal off of just normal kills. It felt so good to just, oh yeah, I can kind of stay healthy in these areas, get nicked a little bit, no big deal, instead of constantly feeling like, well, I gotta make sure I don't take any hits because there could be a boss around the corner. You know what I mean? I love when a game turns that corner and you feel like you're able to just keep your health at a good level so that your survivability just increases. Because there's nothing worse, especially in some of these areas where you kind of get bombarded all of a sudden, and then you have the unfun run back, and it's like, oh man, I didn't really want to do that, And we are well off topic, but we're 2 hours in, and I'm totally fine with that. So it's well balanced. I'm like 75 now, I think 75 or 76% through Trill. I think I got to the final area. There's pillar 1, 2, 3, the fourth pillar way at the tippity top. I can now go to that area. I think that's probably, I'm in the end, right? The final 25%. Very good way to break posture is to attack until they deflect one of your attacks. Then you deflect their attack and start attacking again. You think is that the statement that clicked for me, Fuzzy? Did you watch the clip? I think Fuzzy went and found the section where the tip from chat that triggered everything for me. It's well balanced. Yeah, it feels really, really good just to be in that armor set in Kazan. Like, I really like it. Yeah. I didn't watch the clip, but it's episode 3. I'd be really interested to watch the clip to see if that... I'll do that in Green Room, though. We are well off topic. I don't want to have a bunch of, like, Sekiro footage in a Borderlands stream. Okay. We can watch that later in Green Room, which I'm in no hurry to go to Green Room. I'd love to... Obviously, I want to give you guys some time here since you are actually close to unlocking Friday night. So I don't want to just, like, bail and that'd be really rude. So we can just keep talking about whatever it is you guys want to talk about. If there's been any gaming news this week or videos or topics that you feel like we should be reacting to, we can kind of load those in the hopper for the Green Room and just give you guys more content whenever we're in the Green Room. That's a great way for you guys to get more value out of your membership. Yeah, we looked at the Berlin game, and I feel like the trailer really, really smacks of Mind's Eye. It doesn't... It just looks like I'm getting faked out. It doesn't... I don't know. I don't trust it. There's something I don't trust about it. It has a very, very... I don't know. It's super, super edited. It's super sliced up. It's very, very quick. I don't know. I'm always going to be hesitant on a game that won't just show me, lengthy sections of gameplay. Now, listen, you don't have to do that in a game announcement, okay? You don't have to do that in an announcement. But when you tell me this is a gameplay trailer, and that's how you're showing me gameplay, I'm like, yeah, I don't know. I'm worried that you're faking me out. I'm worried that you're playing some kind of a game. Because that's what happened with Mind's Eye. Mind's Eye had their announcement trailer and then said, please enjoy this gameplay trailer. And it was this highly edited mirage. And Siege Master with the 5-bomb says, all right, boys, let's get to work. Many hands make light work. If everybody throws in with 5s, you guys can get there very, very quickly. Thank you so much, Siege. Putting this here for later, not now. Thank you, Fuzzy. Are you getting Borderlands? Yes, I'm getting Borderlands 4 day one. Yes. Listen, I'm convinced that Borderlands 4 is going to be the best Borderlands they've made. And like today, I think it has a ton of similarities to Destiny very intentionally. Very intentionally. And I think that could lead to a really, really good experience. I think they could really do ongoing content in a good way. It doesn't need to be some live service, keep the player funnel full, engagement, like hyper-focused on engagement like we've seen in other games. I don't think they need to fall prey to any of that. I think they could... I think they could do good things with it. I do. When Lono says Mind's Eye, trust him. Please see my tag in Discord. Looks like we're getting first trailer for Lords of the Fallen. No, yeah, I've already seen that, Lone Wolf. I think we talked about that yesterday. You might have missed it. Yeah, Lords of the Fallen 2, going to have some kind of an announcement trailer at Gamescom. We will probably do a stream on Monday. I'll just put before you everything we've been able to find about what will likely be at Gamescom. I'll just kind of put it before you. Like, this is everything we've been able to track down, and that is one of those things. Yeah. Digital Foundry on the Battlefield 6 beta on the PS5 Pro version, likely using PSSR. Image quality on the Pro is far superior to base consoles and PC at 4K max when using FSR. All consoles have locked FPS, PS5 and Series X identical. Interesting. When do they say it has more clarity than PC or its equivalent? More clarity in motion than PC when using FSR. If you see it on a big monitor, the difference is quite large. Yeah, like Black Myth Wukong DLC might be there. Yeah. Not to take anything away from your experience or anyone else's, Mind's Eye was fun and only glitched out on me 3 times. I played on day 1 and platinumed on day 2. I mean, there are people that, you know, your mileage may vary. There are people that had an experience with Mind's Eye that they consider to be like watching a throwaway movie on Netflix or something, or watching a throwaway summer movie that they know isn't going to be that great, right? I get it. I do. I am never going to try to convince you that you shouldn't have played it or shouldn't have enjoyed it. I take issue with how they marketed the game, misled the public, shipped something that they knew was garbage, and then tried to act like it was some, they had saboteurs and that people were hating on the game beforehand because they were paid. I take no issue or umbrage with players that enjoyed themselves. Like, I don't care about that at all. I took issue with the way that game was handled, the way that they marketed it. Yeah. Detective Seeds is speaking about Ghost of Yote. MBG says Ghost of Yote confirmed to be at Gamescom opening night live this Thursday. And Seeds says, I bet they show the opening mission or midway mission to show off the combat styles of Ghost of Yote. So I'll add that to the Gamescom show. I've got a room where I'm just kind of collecting everything for you guys. So Monday you'll be able to kind of like just drink it all in, all the stuff that's potentially going to be there at Gamescom. So it'll be a fun week next week. It'll be a fun week. I'm actually rescheduling a meeting I had with one of my mentors, just trying to think through everything that we're doing, and I've got some content ideas I want to kind of run by him because he's a really, really sharp guy. He's really intelligent. He's also a writer, and I kind of want to throw some of it by him. Yo, it's good feed. Good to see you in the chat. The replay is not like a GTA game or all of Sony's IP. It was a good game. It kept me in for 2 days. It was the devs' deep dive of Mind's Eye that annoyed me the most. Chopping select gameplay out, knowing the issues pre-launch. Yeah. When's Gamescom? Starts Tuesday. Tuesday is opening night live. Good morning, Raven. How are you? Gene Park's review was scathing and correct. I thought it would be fun in the near future if we have like a super, super dry news day to just read through. Or did he do a video version or is it just a written version? Because it'd be fun to literally do a show where like that's just what we do. Because I tried to warn people about that game for weeks and I got a lot of hate for it. And I was like, listen, y'all, like I'm not out here trying to be mean to a video game. Like that's not how I operate. I'm calling for caution here, you know. You won your monthly Fall Guys season on Switch too? Nice. He talks about it on Drop Frames. Man, apparently, so the record for charity streams has been broken. Mr. Beast hung out with XQC and Aiden Ross. They raised $15 million for the Team Water thing. We were a part of that yesterday. I wore the shirt that they sent. Obviously, these boys pulled in a crazy amount. That's absolutely insane that they were able to do that. That's crazy. That is absolutely insane. But good for them. Jiminy Christmas. Did you see who broke the record for a single donation? Was it Trainwrecks that did it? I saw he went crazy as well. Hopefully more Switch 1 games become more compatible with Switch 2. An OnlyFans girl did the record? What did she do? How much she did $1 million? I thought Trainwrecks was doing like 1.5. Or overall did he do 1.5? $1 million. That's crazy. Imagine as a creator having that kind of money, just being able to like Just drop $1 million on a charity. Maybe overall. So hers was the biggest single donation. Yeah, I think Trainwrecks got to like close to like $1.5 million. Yeah. She's going to make it back. It's free advertising, you know? Well, no, it's not. But it's good advertising. Certainly not free. You know? Certainly not free. Guys, make sure you're hitting the like button on YouTube. We're super close to 300 likes. Double check your renewals as well. Like, do you got a Prime that you can renew manually? Do you have a renewal on YouTube? We are inching closer and closer to that weekly goal. We haven't missed that goal in months. We've been blowing it out of the water with gifteds. We made some adjustments. That can still happen. You guys don't need to worry about that. I don't know if I have a way of getting in contact with some of the guys. Behemoth was here, and he and I have spoken about it in comments. Yeah. Thank you, TJ. Boom Boom with the single gifted, man. I appreciate it so much. 417 on the day. Oh, I'm sorry, on the week, I should say. Should we be spending our money in worse places? I mean, I think it would be great to see, you know, redemption arcs for some of these people that for a while might have been, you know, maybe not using their platform for great things, to start using their platform for great things. So, you know, doing a big charity thing, getting clean water to people that need it, you know, I think that could be a good beginning for, you know, some of these folks out here, you know. No renewal checked. Sony's platform is hardware centric. Those ideas are not mutually exclusive. Who are you talking to, Eugene? Did somebody come in and say something? Oh, never mind. This one's gifted. Use the, you guys can use the upgrade command. That's a really, really fast way. That's a really, really fast way to move the needle. Upgrades count as 2. So type, you guys on Twitch can't do this, but on YouTube, type !upgrade and then bump up to member plus, and that counts as a double. We even have a running incentive where if we get to 700 member plus and above, I have to platinum Mind's Eye. So maybe we should put that goal out there more often and let people know that they can contribute to my pain and my demise. We don't mention that one enough, probably. Didn't Sony say they were exiting the business relations, or was it misinterpreting hardware-wise? So it's your understanding that Sony said they were exiting the hardware business. Is that what you're asking me? Because that wasn't communicated anywhere. No. If a hardware company said they were exiting hardware, it would have set the dadgum world on fire. Like, their stock value would have dropped like a meteorite. That would have been very... that would have been like international news if long-standing, very successful hardware company was like, we're getting out of hardware. Sneaky Wolf with a single gifted. Thank you so much. And that gets us to 418. You guys can band together to move this line. Get a little single gifted train going. Unlock Friday night with Madam. A meteoroid? Isn't it meteor or meteorite? What's a meteoroid? Oh, you're making a Metroid joke. I was like, what the frick is a like, what's a meteoroid? The Sony hardware comment wasn't even about gaming. It was about their TVs and cameras. He did mention gaming, but again, they were thinking within the realm of expanding their platform with like IP and investments, and he mentions the investment with Bandai Namco. Yeah. Have you thought about going through and unblocking all the accounts you have blocked on here to see if some of them come back and say maybe they were just having bad days? If they come back in a route again, then just reblock. Just a thought to increase traffic and potential subs. P.S. Sal gifts a member. We may be seeing the beginnings of a single train. Let's see it. Let's see it. Both platforms can contribute to the single train, or not. You don't have to, but you guys could. Here's the problem with that, Donald. Unless you're speaking for somebody that, like, you know, maybe wants to come back. The biggest problem is, and PSL does another one, and Lone Wolf does another one, and here we go. We might be seeing the beginnings. We're at 421. The milestone next where I owe you guys a member is 425, and we're very close to it. Like a fresh start invitation. I mean, the difficulty there's not an effective way to do it, and Lone Wolf does another one to keep the single train going, and another one, this is a renewal from Trill Troll, takes us to 423 VIP, 38 months, he says. Thank you so much. And now we're at 69 to 21. Nice in the contest. Wired Rope with the 5 bombs steals the milestone and doesn't let them have it. Thank you so much, Wired Rope, keeping Twitch in the fight. And then a single gifted comes in from Lone Wolf and a VIP from Smiley, and that does set up a 20 bomb to 450. We'll see if anybody takes that bait. We will see if anybody takes that bait. I do owe one now to Purple. Here's the thing, though, Donald. Like, the traffic issue that we're dealing with on YouTube, we were looking at it last night. It is largely a site-wide problem. Like, YouTube's just having issues. We've thrown out videos that have done just fine. We've done videos and streams that are relevant, big name, should be very relevant to the audience, and that does poorly. And then I'll do a video that for all intents and purposes shouldn't, and it does great. I think YouTube is just working out some kinks. They've got this thing they're doing with like AI, and I think they've really hurt discoverability in the process. I don't think me going and like unblocking a bunch of people would suddenly increase traffic. It would just invite a bunch of bad actors, you know? And Sven uses his Prime over there on Purple. Thank you so much, Sven, for doing that. You guys that use those Primes every single month, those are manual. They don't do those automatically. And then Joker Quinn's going to throw a single on the fire and get us to 432. Thank you so much, Joker Quinn. It would just invite a bunch of bad actors. You know, there are people that genuinely, I mean, they hate me, and they're not even from this era of time. They're from like the Destiny era of time. And I think they would just come in and spew nonsense for, for 5 seconds. Or if there's not as many bad actors as you think, though. I mean, I've been doing this for 10 years. I would say the percentage of people that get bopped that deserve it versus the percentage of people that like might come back around and be a good member of the community, I bet you we have a really good batting average. I bet you most of the people that have been bopped out just deserve to stay there, you know? I don't know. And also, the thing is, they can still watch. They just can't comment. They can't chat. Which with our gifting culture, I'm kind of okay with that. I don't want somebody who's like a jerk in disguise or something getting a gifted. You know, how many people do you have blocked? I don't even know. I've been doing this for a long time. You end up with a lot. Because you end up with people who literally just come in and say, mean, hateful thing. And you're like, oh, get them out of here. Mean, hateful thing. Get them out of here. They go to your comments and they mean, hateful thing. Like, it's not like they come in and they console war and they get annoying and you're like, yeah, get them out of here. Like, over the years, I mean, there's hundreds of thousands of people that just do that on YouTube. They just jump in a chat or a comment section and they just say something mean and hateful. Well, I mean, those people are all in the midst of like an unban wave if we did one. Sneaky Wolf says, let's get a single train. My B-Day was Wednesday, and I wasn't here because lately I've had no AC in my work truck, so I just haven't to do anything. Hang on. I haven't wanted to do anything, and I've been too hot. All right, so Sneaky Wolf is calling for a single gifted train, and Arthur says, no, I'm going to do a 5-bomb instead. And a 5-bomb comes in from Arthur and gets us to 437. Thank you, Arthur. Moving the needle along, trundling toward unlocking a Friday night stream. Thank you so much for that. Plus, I just make new accounts. A lot of that, too. Eugene says, very rarely is someone blocked who's been a good contributor. Donald says, understood. Just wanted to see if that might help, because I know there were a lot of people banned during the console war stuff, and some may be having a bad day. I know you talk about fresh starts. And a 5-bomb comes in from Sneaky Wolf. He says, okay, well, if you want to up the ante and do a 5 train, let's do a 5 train. There it goes. Let's see. I don't even know what record the record is. We could set a record on the channel for a 5 train. And a single comes in from Anthony. Thank you so much, Anthony, for adding to the total. We've always had, like, I think our single train was like 40-something. So a 5 train could surpass that very easily. You get like 10 people on a 5 train. I don't know if we've ever had a 5 train like that. We've done the single trains, though. I believe the single train record on the channel is 43. I could check the Discord room where we track that stuff. I was blocked back then. And Loch Ness comes in with the 5-bomb. And now that's 3 5-bombs in a row. And that puts us at 448. Thank you so much, Loch Ness. And gets us to 88 over 27. Thank you very much. The amount of people that just haven't been shown the content far outnumbers the amount blocked. Likes and comments do more to show us to new people than would unblocking a possible bad actor. I mean, there's something to be said for, like, okay, let's give everybody a second chance. And it's bedlam for like a week. Well, the good news about that is for a week, you'd have an increase of chat activity on the channel. And it could help. And maybe we do. Maybe we get some good people in here. I don't know. I'll have to think about it. You know, there are times where people do that on purple. They just go in and they unban everybody. And they're like, yep, everybody gets a second chance. You know, everybody. There you go, Sneaky. Happy belated. Loch Ness says, happy belated birthday. Also, my brother's car got stolen on my birthday. Oh, gosh, that's terrible. Why would somebody do that for your birthday? Well, no, when somebody talks about anything, the fanboys just make up things. Yeah, I don't. There's also not an effective way to do it. I don't think there's an effective way to be like, hey, let's do a massive unban wave. Because if I go to community moderation, user management, and I go to hidden users, I can literally remove all hidden users right now with the click of a button. I didn't know that I could do that. I did not know that I could do that. I thought I had to manually do it. I was like, that would take forever. There literally is a button. I didn't know there was a button that did that. What if I hit the button and chat just turns into insanity in the blink of an eye? Like they're all here right now typing and they don't even know that nobody can see what they're saying. Everyone's like, well, he didn't say when he was going to do it, but it was pretty obvious. The chat went crazy all of a sudden. I think unban wave will result in the suspicious absence of Zubair from chat. It's pretty common practice to do that every 180 days or so within reason. Yeah, I mean, I think there's grounds to do it. You know, I do. There was a guy that I want to unban, and I don't know his username. I do know his username, but I don't know his username. It's like HTMLI guy or something like that. And he still continues to support me on Twitter, and he likes my tweets. And he and I got into it one day, and I bopped him, and I've never been able to, to do it. Some names have just really earned it. Yeah, I mean, there are people that deserve it permanently. The problem is we don't even know what their usernames are anymore. You know what I mean? We have no idea what their usernames are. You know, and if they came back in and they said their stuff and they said their nonsense, we would just hit them again. It's not that big of a deal. I wouldn't even be that concerned. We tried an experiment, if you guys remember, and a single comes in from Stonespire. I know what Stonespire's going to do. He's going to try and quickly grab the 450 milestone before Twitch can do it. It's a race. And a member plus from Goat Gaming secures the 450. We are exactly a 50 away from 500. We haven't had a 50 bomb in a while. It's right there dangling for somebody to take it. And the single from Stonespire, it'd be a double whammy. It'd be a 50 bomb member of Agent of Chaos. Yeah, I mean, I think that in general, that kind of a thing is perfectly legitimate to do. I think there's perfectly good reasons to consider that every now and again. We could even do that on Purple, because on Purple, there are probably so many people that got hit during my Destiny days. Where there he goes, and it's no big deal. Yeah, boom. I don't care. I mean, if people want to come in and be bad, that they'll be bad, and then we'll say, you're naughty, get out, you know. I will use the word naughty every time. I know Tally did it on Ban Wave a long time ago. Don't know if it's a regular thing for him. He made an event out of it. Had a script on screen, doing one name at a time. He was like 6,000 or something. Yeah. I'm not doing that. Yeah. My mom had just passed, and I trolled you hard, and I got bopped, still came back. Well, and I obviously appreciate that, and I appreciate you even kind of taking up for that right now and saying, hey, what if we did that? What if we let people come back, you know? You know, and there could be people that are like, hey, I came in here, you know, because somebody made a salt video about you and I called you a name and I got bopped. I mean, they flood my comments anytime they put me in their videos. Like over the weekend, I'll open it up and I'm like, oh, I've got a bunch of people calling me this, right? And I know what that means. It means, you know, somebody threw me in their vid. You know, so usually I know when it's going on. Yo, J-Dog Tech with 4 months. Thanks so much for pushing the line a little bit further. It looks like you guys are actually going to be able to unlock Friday night. You're pretty stinking close. You are very, very close. 48 more to unlock Friday night with Madam. I tried Echoes of the End against your judgment, Lono, and you're right. The combat's horrible. I tried to tell you. I tried to tell you, Anthony. I tried to warn you, man. It's bad, isn't it? It's bad. It really, truly is. It is rough. Who is the guy that called Lono Reforge Gaming? Let's bring them back. I thought that was a member here. I thought we were joking around, and that just is what somebody said. I thought for sure that was something that we came up with on our own. I don't know. Let's see. What's it look like over here? What's this guy saying here? Man, can't even have a discussion or let me defend myself. Typical Americans. Only their narrative matters. What? What? That's a guy's unban request. It's his unban request. And Kardock Ren drops a 10 bomb on Purple. And Raven drops a 5 bomb on Purple, taking us to 467 in the blink of an eye. And that takes us to 38 and then 42. There it is. Twitch is still fighting. They're still in this fight. Yeah, I don't even know what he was talking about. Oh, he got banned for calling me a 40-year-old pony. Yeah, we didn't ban him because he was from another country. I'm denying his thing, his unbanned request, and I'm saying, calls me a 40-year-old pony and cries about being banned. Irony. Like, like, little crybaby about it. Like, hey, I'm allowed to come in and call you names. What the heck, man? Stupid. I don't even know how you do a mass unban on, I don't know how you do a mass unban on Twitch. I don't even know how to do it. And Terminal Stupidity does a 5-bomb on Twitch and gets us to set 472. Thank you so much, Terminal Stupidity. Who is the person? I didn't even recognize their name. / unban all. Oh, is that how you do it? It says unable to unban user. It doesn't seem to recognize that as an option. I don't know. You unbanned him because he didn't get your age right? Oh, no, I banned him because he didn't get my age right? Yeah, that's right. That's exactly right. That's how that works. Raven says, hold your horses, Twitch. Wait, why are you telling Twitch to hold their horses, Raven? Huh? I wonder if bans are a metric Twitch and YouTube use in promoting content. What do you mean? Like if you've got tons of people banned, they don't promote your content as much or something? Oh, for the mass unban. Yeah, I don't even know. I tried it and it didn't even seem to work, so I don't know. I tried it on Twitch and I don't think it did anything. We have a hype train coming in 10 seconds on Twitch, it says. Oh, like if a creator bans a lot of folks or not at all? I mean, there's probably some type of a metric where, like, if you go too crazy and your chat activity and comment activity is maybe too restricted, you could potentially harm yourself, if that makes sense. YouTube doesn't have banned user on a channel level. Yeah, you don't even ban people on YouTube. Their comments don't show up. But that is a metric that could potentially hurt you in the long run. Like if you're like overly reacting and you're banning anybody who leaves a comment that doesn't tell you that you're a god. You're like, I want to be worshipped, and if you don't worship me in the comment section, you're gonna get banned. Like, let's just say you were being that way as like a joke, but like you legitimately did it. It would probably hurt your channel because you wouldn't be getting any. And Terminal Stupidity does another 5-bomb and a renewal from Scornful Rapier with 39 months. That's 6 more members to the count. Now, that means I owe a single to Purple. You guys did it. You hit the next milestone. You stole it. You stole the 475. Thank you so much. I don't know why that didn't result in the train starting. I don't understand. I thought you guys did it. You should unban everyone but turn on verified chatter. Yeah, I don't seem to have the ability to do it. Maybe you have to do it in mod view. It says unable to unban user. It like the unban all doesn't seem to be even something that you can do. Like if I try to unban that guy, yeah, I can remove the ban on an individual person. It doesn't seem to be a command anymore on Twitch. Yo, good morning, PSN cuz, how are you? I can unban an individual user, which means unban all is not working. I tried it, and it's, I don't know. Twitch mass unban. Oh, BTTV has one. It looks like. It looks like you can do it with Better Twitch TV. Yeah, which I don't run that currently. Yo, good morning, Snake Eyes. Is that it? Does Better Twitch TV, does Better TTV still work? It's got a great score. I'm assuming it still works. So we can see if it lets us do it. BTD has an extension and a command that gives you the ability to do this. Enter the command mass unban or unban all or you all. That's for the channel owner only. So if I go to the channel now with BTTV running, there it is. I don't know if it did it. Oh, it's doing it. Yeah, it's going to ruin my chat for a little bit. It's going to ruin my chat for a little bit. Yo, Pimp Shrimp. Pimp Shrimp. I missed your Member Plus 25 months renewal. Thank you so much for doing that. Gets us to $4.79. I appreciate that so much. Yeah, I'm gonna have to, like, basically I can't use my I think it's done. I think it's done on purple. Yeah, it's done. Okay. Cool. All right. I can reopen my combined chat now. My combined chat was like freaking the frick out. So, all right, you guys can now chat again. I couldn't see anything. It was just like, I was like, oh, okay. I'm pretty sure I have it on verified chatter. At least I think I turned that on, Wired Rope. I feel like I turned that on like ages ago, back before I was even banned. I think. Give us a sign. Yeah. I was waiting for a week to check out the Hell Is Us demo. I did. It's on the channel right now. And I liked everything but the combat. And I'm just kind of hoping they can smooth out the combat. You know. Thanks for considering my feedback. I hope it helps or does some good traffic and the good people do come back if there are any. LOL. Yeah, I mean, it can't hurt. It can't hurt, Donald. You know, if you let 1,000 people come back and 50 of them say, you know what, I kind of like it here, I've changed my mind, I mean, that's probably worth doing. Especially because we are trying to, you know, grow this community. We're trying to get people in the Discord. We want people to consider doing Member Plus. And there could be people that have been, you know, watching in the shadows that are like, man, I wish I could get unbanned, you know. They have to have an email or a phone number tied to their account so people can't just mass create accounts. Oh, okay. Everything but the combat sounds like the South of Midnight issue. South of Midnight. Yeah, South of Midnight. Like, everything was great, but the combat needed polish. Yes, it's very, very much like that. Very much. Yes. Because the thing is if you're gonna play a game like that, and this is what I was telling the one guy who left me a comment. He's like, well, why don't you just stun them with your drone? And Paco with the 40-month VIP renewal, and that is a heck of a setup. A 20 bomb to secure the weekly goal would bring it home. And the platform that does that is going to get The milestone reward. Whoever hits it gets it. What was I saying? Yeah, like, somebody was like, well, why wouldn't you just use the drone to stun them? And I'm like, well, yeah, you can do that, but that's not a solution for the entirety of the game. You want base level combat to feel good. You want telegraphs, dodges, and parries to feel crisp, responsive, you know. BH321 with 47 months says unban these nuts. I don't know if you were banned or not, but you just renewed your membership for 47 months, so thank you. That would be insane if you were and had that many months. So thank you so much. So like, and a gifted comes in from Rissick. Good to see you, Rissick. So, yeah, even though the guy was like, well, you could have used the drone to stun them. I'm like, well, yeah, in some of the fights you can use the drone to stun them, but in other fights you've got, like, multiple targets, and the camera's wonky, and the controls are wonky, and the enemy telegraphs are wonky. Like, it didn't feel, like, smooth, responsive, and well-built. I had a lot of people in the comments that agree with me. They're like, dude, I tried this, and the camera was driving me nuts, and the telegraphs were driving me nuts. Like, I think it's totally fair. I think it's totally fair, the criticisms that I had for Hell Is Us. I wasn't mean or spiteful. I wasn't like, oh, I died, I'm angry. Like, I hadn't even died yet. I was playing fine. And a 5-bomb comes in from Kaiser Soze. Some people say he doesn't exist, but he just gifted members. And a 5-bomb comes in from Wilbur's and keeps the 5 train going from earlier. Gets us to 492. Look at that. You love to see it. A big day on YouTube, and we did it without a bunch of big, huge bombs. You guys did it. I told y'all, we don't need 20s and 50s. You guys don't need to feel like that's the only way to support, especially if you upgrade to Member Plus. Sorry to divert from Borderlands, but did you ever give your thoughts on the Hell Is Us demo? I mean, I'm giving them right now, and I played it this week, and you can watch the video on the YouTube channel if you want my thoughts beyond what I've just said. I mean, I think everything about the game is great except for the combat. Tone, voice acting, the vibe, the puzzles, the exploration, and Rissick with another single. I think it's great. I think it really, really is. And I wish that the combat felt better. And I'm not the only one that thinks that. A lot of people think the combat needs to be looked into. It just doesn't feel great. There's an awkwardness to it. There's a clumsiness to it. Like, I don't know. The telegraphs for when you're supposed to parry and dodge, it's just really awkward. Like, let me say this. So in First Berserker Kazan and other games like it, there will be enemies that try to fake you out, right? They try to fake you out. And eventually you learn it, and you know that that's what that one guy does. Hell Is Us, like the very first enemies you fight, and then the next enemies, and then the next and the next, like the first 3 or 4 enemies that you encounter, they all are doing it. It feels like the game is trying to trick you and sucker punch you, and it doesn't feel good to be in that kind of a context. It's like shake, 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 shake. What am I doing? Smack, and you're like, oh, well, okay. Next guy, shake, spasm, shake, shake, teleport, smack, and you're like, oh, okay. Like, wow, you tricked me. Congratulations. Like, it doesn't feel like an enjoyable experience. Excuse me. Like, in First Berserker Kazan and other games, what they typically do, and this is true in, like, Lies of P and other games as well, is your first couple batch of enemies, you're literally given the basics of the game so that you can get, like, your little ping or your little dodge or your attacks, and it feels good. It feels good to be in the game. It feels good to engage in combat. Hell Is Us feels like it's trying to trick you, like it's trying to sucker punch you, and that's not, I just don't think that's enjoyable. I tell you what we are going to do, though. So you guys are going to do it. You're going to hit it. There's another one from Raven. Thank you so much. Gets us to 494. I'm going to schedule Green Room really, really quickly because we're almost to the 3-hour mark. And guess what? You got to be a sub now on Twitch to watch Green Room. I'd like to keep this stream under 3 hours since we are well off conversation now. Members only. Yeah, monetization off. And I'll tell you what, in the spirit of the week, in the spirit of adding a bunch of members, we will do this particular Friday. I'll open up Green Room. I'll let people sample it. The rest of the week, it's going to be Member Plus and above, especially since like Twitch now, we can actually leverage it. So quickly, get the next 6 members, and then we'll boogie out of here. We'll keep the conversation going. Green Room, we can talk about whatever we want. We can react to whatever we want. I don't like doing this when we're in a stream labeled Borderlands. I don't think it's a good idea to continue to belabor the off-topic structure. So we've got about 4 minutes. We've got about 4 minutes to get 6 members. Let's see if we can do it. Let me set up redirect and get a hyperlink. And then purple, the stream will actually end and restart. That's how we're going to do that now. And a single comes in from TJ Boom Boom and gets us exactly a 5-bomb away. Who wants it? Who wants it? Who wants to land the plane? And a 5-bomb from Risic. We've done it. There it is. Exactly 500 on the week. That's renewals. That's gifteds. That's primes. That's all of it. Thank you guys so much. You say we can talk about anything, but every time I bring up fabrication nodes, I get shot down. And another one comes in from Risic because he likes to be ornery, and he bumps it to 501. Listen, I don't think we can get... There's no way you guys could roll over and get a stretch. I don't think so. You would need like 250 bombs back-to-back in 3 minutes. So, I mean, I'll do it. I'll set it. I'll set the stretch. I do have a ton of like new songs I'd love to show off, but those are stretch goals. Those are stretch goals. Also, making Madam play a game is typically a stretch goal for Friday night as well. Let's go. Lone Wolf says, yells out MASH. You guys can try and bad signal MASH. You can. Or Behemoth. You can. You have 3 minutes. Petrov says boring lands. Yeah. It's not about the memberships. It's about sending a message, Risic. That's right. That's right. The gauntlet has been thrown. Risic setting it up. He rolled it over at 5:01 with an Agent of Chaos. You guys have, you have 3 minutes. You would need a ton of 5 bombs or 250s. I don't know. I don't know what the record is for buzzer beaters around here. I don't know how crazy you guys have gone in the past. We don't keep track of that typically. Yeah. The Division is another thing that's going to be at Gamescom. Yeah, Monday we'll have a whole show about that, like everything that's going to be at Gamescom. Yeah. So we shall see. If you guys want to come to the next segment, you will need to be a member. Okay, you're going to need to be a member. You're going to either need to be Prime, paying, gifted, or Member Plus or VIP. We're gonna open up this Friday one to everybody that is a member, just to give people a sample, and maybe they'll consider upgrading for future Green Room so they don't miss out on the more freeform content. Okay, you got 2 minutes. You guys have 2 minutes. Risic set up a stretch goal. All right, he did. Risic's a madman. You guys need 99 in 2 minutes. Division 3, otherwise 60 FPS patch. Yes, Ghost of Yote has been confirmed to be at Gamescom, yes. That and Tokyo Game Show, I believe we'll get a pretty good amount. I don't think Sony's like officially going to Gamescom, but I think there's going to be some stuff. Yes, I will cover opening night live. Yes. All right, you guys have 60 seconds. I'm going to put a link in chat for Green Room. I don't like these streams to go longer than 3 hours, unless it's justified, which I guess we would extend if you guys do it. If you guys literally get 100 members in the next 60 seconds, I would extend. If not, I'll spam a link in chat and we'll go to Green Room. But yes, we will cover opening night live, yes. And there'll be like a Call of Duty is going to be there. Keely's got a bunch of things lined up. All right, 30 seconds. You think Halo gets announced for Gamescom or Game Awards? Oh, for PlayStation? I think they're going to do stuff with the Halo Championship thing. I think they're going to do that more than they would at like a Gamescom. Yeah. I mean, that's been the speculation, given that they've said they've got big announcements coming at the Halo Championship. All right, 15 seconds, chat. The event, opening night live, is Tuesday. It is Tuesday. Okay, I'm going to start Green Room. You guys missed the buzzer. Don't do it after I start Green Room, I swear to frick. Okay, here we go. Hey, thank you so much for supporting the channel. Now, you may be seeing this because you're a member who got gifted. We're going to open up Green Room every once in a while to all members just to celebrate having a big week, and then you get to kind of sample extra content. If you ever want to get access to this extra content, you will need to be a paying member. Twitch, we're going to shut down for a split second and come right back, but it will be sub only. We have unlocked that feature. I'm going to end the previous Borderlands stream and bring folks over with Redirect. Redirect seemingly has got